Hey, let's start the show.
It's July 5th, 2012. Welcome to This Is Only a Test, the official podcast of Tested.com. I'm Will Smith. Joining me, as always, Norman Chan. How you doing, Norm?
A little toasty.
It's warm in here. It's I don't want to say it's moist. We have a very special guest this week, as always. I mean, always a very special guest. But Gary Whitta, new father, is here kind of unexpectedly. We didn't think we were going to have you today.
Kind of a last minute decision, but yes.
We're glad to have you.
I'm very glad to be here.
The hell are you doing away from your new family?
I was actually expelled from the hospital on doctor's orders for my own mental health and that of those around me.
So the doctor said, hey, you're doing a great job here, Dad, but get the fuck out for a few hours?
She said, because we've been in the hospital for a whole week now.
Congratulations, by the way. I know I've given you off-air congratulations, but...
I appreciate that. And the doctor said to me, have you left this hospital in the last week? Because Leah can't leave. She's recovering from surgery. But I can obviously. I said, I've been across the street to like Subway shop or whatever. And she's like, get out of the hospital for 2 hours and just do something else and come back here. And I said, I'm supposed to do a podcast today. But she's like, go do that. So it actually worked out perfectly.
Did she know what a podcast was?
No, she didn't care. She just wanted me out of the way.
I can see that.
She just wanted me out of the hospital and doing something other than pacing up and down.
So congratulations are in order from everybody at Tested to Gary and Leah and new baby girl.
New baby girl.
Babby.
We call her Babby, baby. She has a name, but we're keeping it,
it's under wraps.
It's we broadcast a lot of things out there and onto the internet, but some things we want to keep just for ourselves.
Yeah, I can see that. But she's an official person. She has a birth certificate.
She has a birth certificate. She has a social security number pending. She exists. She's on the grid.
Do you want to talk about the whole, it was...
We can talk about it. Do you want to do tech? Do you want to do what the actual podcast is? By the way, I mean...
Nothing happened this week. It's 4th of July.
I mean, it's good because honestly, I couldn't give a fuck about what happened in tech this week.
Yeah.
I literally could not care less.
Well, it's good because nothing happened in tech this week because it's 4th of July.
It was very good of the tech week to do that.
Did anything happen? They discovered the Higgs boson.
Now, that's a big deal.
That is a big deal, actually.
Well, technically, right, they discovered... It's funny how they couched it in very specific languages. They have to say, we've discovered... the New York Times said, what looks to all the world to be the Higgs boson, or a particle that behaves consistent with what we believe the Higgs boson is. So they stopped just short of saying it is that thing.
I think they're going to try to name it after themselves instead of after Higgs.
And this has led us, it's very interesting the way the media's covered it because it's such an impenetrable scientific subject.
It's like I've watched a bunch of video and read a bunch about it, and it's hard for me to understand it. I took a lot of physics classes.
It's like when you land a man on the moon, everybody gets it.
Yeah.
Right? But when it's something like this where you actually have to have a bit more of a scientific language.
When you're talking about quantum foam.
The significance of it. Yeah. It's not easy to communicate. So it's been interesting to see the media trying to... the New York Times article I actually thought did a very good job of it, explaining it in a way that I can understand it without making me feel like it was being too dumbed down. But there's all kinds of interesting... The Guardian did a really interesting thing using ping pong balls and stuff to explain how this stuff works.
Well, that video that was on... I pushed on Tested, the one with Peter Niels, I think. Isn't that what his name is? I can't remember.
Yeah.
Did a real good explanation, I thought, as well.
I like and I'm going to get this all wrong, but the New York Times had an interesting description about how the Higgs boson is basically kind of like a quantum molasses that slows everything down.
Yeah.
And if it weren't for that, all light and matter and energy in the universe would just be flying around.
Nothing would have mass.
Yeah.
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 It gives things mass.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So it's like the great universal governor of everything.
But the interesting question here to me is that up until this point, we didn't understand why things had mass. Like until the 60s, no one ever said, things keep getting smaller and smaller and smaller, and they never found the mass particle.
Why the universe is made of matter and not antimatter.
Right.
We don't know these things.
I think that one they have some leads on.
Right.
I remember reading something about that earlier this year, but I can't remember specifics.
And the other thing that I thought was fascinating was to learn that the Large Hadron Collider is still operating at only half power.
Yeah.
So when they crank that thing up to 11, who knows?
End of the world, man. We're going to make our own black hole.
What else are they going to use it for now?
I think there's other stuff they can,
It's the world's biggest machine.
It's deep thought. They have to use it to design the next.
It wasn't built purely to look for the Higgs boson, was it?
That was one of the big goals of the LHC.
I'm sure it has other applications as well.
You don't spend $2 billion on something that's on a gadget.
Right.
It would be the world's most expensive gadget if all it was for was to find the Higgs boson.
Right.
So yeah, that press conference. Did you actually watch it? I know you've been otherwise occupied.
No, I didn't pay a lot of attention to it, but I did. It was a big enough story, obviously, that it caught my attention, and I tried to read some stuff so that I could understand. I wanted to understand.
Yeah.
It was like, this is clearly a huge thing, but I don't want to feel stupid for not understanding at least something about why.
I spent a significant portion of Tuesday reading about the Higgs boson, and I still have, I just don't have the math and the quantum mechanics to understand more than, hey, this is the thing that gives it mass because it's a field of particles move through a field of this, and light moves at one speed, one rate, and yeah, it's confusing.
Right.
It's a horribly complex thing. That's why we haven't. That's why Norm, are you working on a Higgs boson story?
Do I have a master's in physics?
No.
Okay, I'm not qualified for that.
Why don't you have a master's in physics, Norm?
Because that would require being in school.
Oh, and math.
And too cool for school.
Yeah, very good. So let's see. Anything else in the tech front? It's been, like I said, a brutally quiet week.
Is it partly because everything stacked up, like between Microsoft, Apple, and Google? All that stuff kind of came out, and now we have kind of a quiet week.
We're definitely on the downsweep from that. Oh, Microsoft announced Windows pricing. We haven't talked about that yet. Windows 8 is going to be $40 if you download it. I think $70 if you buy it in store. A physical
Windows 8
copy.
Pro.
Yeah, the good one.
There's only 2 versions of Windows 8 for x86, Windows 8, the normal version, and the Pro version. They want people to upgrade to Pro. Pro does not have certain things like you can't play DVDs still. You have to buy the extended Windows Media Center.
Can you upgrade from Ultimate Windows 7 to Pro?
That is the only upgrade path.
Okay.
If you're an Ultimate right now, which I think we all both are.
Probably are, yeah.
Our only upgrade path is Pro. They want to encourage people to use the Microsoft Store, online store, download, certify, get that all locked in. $40.
Hold on.
I think it's still technically a promotion, so it's until January 1st, 2013.
So when you put your credit card in, is that the same credit place you put in a credit card to buy apps for the Windows 8 App Store?
I am not sure what the process is.
Because that kind of would make sense. Like that makes
sense. Like you create your, just the Apple Store, create your Apple ID,
right,
and you have your credit card tied in. And when you buy apps in the App Store, that is the same way you upgrade to Mountain Lion or Lion.
Because one of the things that Apple found clearly is that once they have a credit card on file and you don't have to type it in, it's much easier to squeeze a buck or two out of you.
Biggest assets.
Yeah.
Assets.
I thought all the crazy weather back east that knocked out all those data centers was an interesting story.
Oh yeah.
Was it heat? Was it hot?
No.
So heat was a factor in the storms.
Hey, there's an airplane.
Oh, okay.
This is new.
Hey, we haven't even talked about that.
Yeah, we're in the new office, by the way.
First day in the new office.
Kind of the first day.
I think people that haven't heard Chloe barking now have probably
figured that out
themselves.
Well, kind of hollowed out Will's at home.
Chloe and Huey and Gina are all by themselves back home now. Huey's staying with us.
So Huey is vacationing with you while we're in the hospital.
Huey is your dog. We should explain that.
Yeah, and he's having a good time.
Yeah, he's just laying in the grass and enjoying some sun.
Doggy vacation.
Yeah, he's derping it up.
Loving it. Loving every minute.
I'll show you pictures before you go.
Good.
Let's see.
So Netflix and
bunch of stuff was down.
Instagram, I guess, was the big one. Netflix is pretty big as well.
So
Pinterest and a few other sites all got knocked out.
I was in that part of the country 2 weeks ago on vacation because my parents have a place up there, and my dad was there while that storm hit, and he said it felt like the end of the world. And they were in the part of town that did not get the bad part of the storm.
What type of storm was it?
Thunderstorms, massive thunderstorms.
Okay.
But
so lightning and
like tropical storms brought on by these high weather, high temperature weather systems.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, it was
gesticulating with the big.
But don't worry, global warming's not.
No,
real.
it's cool. It's fine.
One of the stories I saw on the TV news this week was I think it was like 6 or 7 different cities on the East Coast and all the way to the Midwest, and places you wouldn't usually think of for things like this, like Kansas City or whatever, all recorded their highest temperatures ever on record, like 111 degrees.
1,000 record highs so far this year.
Folded down.
That was in
this metal mailboxes, poles. Yeah.
So what happened though in Virginia was the EC2, the Amazon. We should talk about this when Andy's, because Andy's going to jump in. You have to go. You obviously
I'm only here
for
for
the
like
whole
half
time.
a podcast. I got to get back.
Andy's going to sit in. Andy McCurdy, one of our top men. He's going to sit in and join us for the last few minutes of the show. But yeah, the dad said it sounded like the end of the world outside, and there was lightning everywhere. And it was more. He said it was more that it was really, really windy than it was raining that hard. Mm-hmm. But it was really, really windy apparently. And Amazon's EC2 center had power problems and went down. And with that went Netflix and a bunch of other places, but not us, which was exciting because last time that data center had problems, we were down for like 3 days.
Wasn't the internet created out of a DARPANET, which the whole point was it's not a centralized computer system, so you can't knock things out. Well, here's a localized weather system that knocked things out for people all over the country.
Well, but the reason that knocks things out is because the data centers are distributed all around the world for the internet, right? And even if you're using like Amazon Cloud Services, which are where we host our site and where Netflix is hosted and Reddit and a bunch of other people, if you localize your hosting, when you set up an EC2 or an S3 account, you say, okay, I want this one to be in Northern Virginia. I want this one to be in Seattle. And you can set it up so that all those work across different areas.
And what would you base that geographical preference on?
It doesn't really
Costs.
matter that much anymore. Yeah,
Okay.
some of them are cheaper than others because they have more capacity than others.
Okay.
Or I assume if you're like working a business and you're local to that area, you might do
you'd wanna
that
be
one.
close by,
Yeah,
yeah.
if I was running a game server on EC2, I would run that in San Jose because I want
Right.
a low ping.
Right.
So yeah, when that went down, was it last year or was it the year before? 2011, right?
Last year.
Yeah, when Tested and Giant Bomb and Screen and all the sites were down
Oh,
for,
that's right, I
for
remember,
3
yeah.
days or 4 days. That was when that Roanoke data or Richmond data center went down, and the same thing happened again when the power went out. And
So there's no redundancy or anything. One of these data centers gets hit and that's it.
well, there could be redundancy. It's up to people to implement redundancy. That's the thing that we learned last year. And Andy was on the show last year when it happened. We talked about it at length.
And to be fair, with the exception of Instagram, which I think was down the longest,
Yeah.
most of those services, they got them right back up.
Netflix popped up much faster. It seemed like everybody learned from last year's outage. Not everybody that was affected by last year's outage learned.
Now,
not
what
to
do you
rely
think
on
is
one
happening
area.
there? Are they fixing power? Are they restoring power to the
rerouting.
data center? Or are they rerouting to other data centers? How do they respond to this? I mean,
Well, it depends on how you have it set up on your service. I wish Andy was here because he's on the phone call right now, but he could explain all this stuff
he
much
would
better
actually
than
know
me.
the answers.
Yeah.
Okay.
Do you think there's an unrealistic expectation that these services should always be up, and
Yeah, of
that
course.
4 hours down is going to destroy your
Absolutely.
I
life?
pay $8 a month for Netflix. That should be up every time I need to use it.
You know what it's like. You go to a website or an internet service that you use frequently, and it's not up, and you shit the bed immediately. It's like, oh, why is
Yeah.
it not a real? I pay $8 a month for this thing.
The other day I tried to load a website and was like, oh, 5 seconds to load. Fuck it, closing the tab. I'm going to someplace else. Right.
Basically.
I'll go read that story in Google Reader.
I
where
do
it's
that.
instant.
I do that anytime I go to a piece of content and I've got to sit through an ad first. What happens is I look at a link and I go, oh, that story looks interesting. Click
Yeah.
on the link. Realize I have to sit through a 30-second ad to get to it.
That means I never click on a link
and
from
I
that site
immediately
again.
recalculate my level of interest in the content. I'm
Yeah.
like, well, and if it doesn't survive the 30-second ad test, a lot of times I just click on and I never see that
Move
piece
along.
of content.
Yeah. Pre-roll interstitials are bad.
They're killers. At least a lot of them these days give you the little, you can click off this thing in 5 seconds. But
Yeah.
at least give us a chance, you
Yeah.
know, they say. That's fair enough. But I always
Let the
click off in 5
ads speak
seconds.
for itself.
I've been watching a lot of Hulu lately.
I would love to see the statistics for those ads that have that 5-second bailout. The number of people that actually end up watching the whole ad. It's got to be.
If it's a really good
statistically
ad,
trivial.
It has to be a great ad.
Yeah, like a movie trailer or something that you would actually might be interested in watching.
I don't think there's any movies coming out for the rest of this year that I would wait for the trailer.
But I'm saying
on,
that's
though.
the one
Skyfall.
occasion where there might be something.
Which one's Skyfall?
James Bond.
Yeah.
Django.
I'd watch the Django trailer. Although I'm thinking I might go into Django cold from this point.
That's a good way to go.
Yeah. And what's the Neil Blomkamp? Elysium. That's next year though, right?
I think that might be next year.
Yeah. Comic-Con's next week.
Yes, we're excited about that.
Yes,
I
very
get to
exciting.
go.
Hey, high five.
High five. I thought that, so our due date was actually yesterday and the baby came 2 days early.
Yeah.
But we're expecting, as is often the case with first babies, for it to go a little bit late. And so if the baby had not come yet or if it had just come and Leah needed help, obviously I wasn't going to go to Comic-Con. But it came just early enough. And I think, we're kind of getting out of the woods that by next week.
And her family's going to be
And
here to
her family's
help.
going to come out and be around so I can be away for 24 hours and not fret. That I actually get to go to Comic-Con.
That's awesome.
You're doing a couple of panels. I'm really excited.
Cool.
Yeah.
Well, we'll see you down
And
there.
you guys are going
We're
too.
going to be there too. We'll be at Adam's party and Wootstock and walking around the show floor. Norm's going to take pictures and I'll help wrangle costume people like we always do.
To me, it's perfect because I'm flying in and out real quick because again, you don't want to be away too long.
It's
But
Vegas rules.
It's one. I get to do one overnight, go to some cool parties, do one full day at the show,
Yep.
do some panels, see everything, and I think you can kind of do it in a day.
Well,
I-
if you don't care about
we don't.
panels,
Well, it depends. I mean, if you really want to hit all those panels, to see one
It's the
panel,
Louvre.
you really, I mean,
You can't see it all
you
one
really,
day.
really have to plan your Comic-Con schedule
Yeah.
militarily if
You
you
have
want to get the best out of it.
you reconcile with the fact that you won't see everything and just be happy with what you can see.
Somebody should do like a Comic-Con survival guide, like publish a book. Or
every
something, how to
time
get the
people
best
do
out of
that, they're terrible.
it. Are they?
Yeah.
Somebody should do a good one.
It's
Okay.
different every year.
But the point is, if you want to see some of these panels, I mean, you pretty much have to dedicate your whole day to that panel.
Yeah.
If it's at say 4:00, and it's like Twilight or Avengers or something like
Something
that.
that there's going to be a big line for.
You better be in line at
Yeah.
what, Norm?
The night before.
Yeah, the night before in some cases if you
Midnight.
want good seats.
Overnight.
Yeah. So anything else that might be happening that day at Comic-Con,
don't see
forget
it.
about it.
Yeah.
You're saying my day is this one
You're
panel.
gonna miss out on all the crazy viral stuff and all the.
I
all
saw
the cool
someone
things.
on my Twitter posted a thing going, "Oh yeah, Friday's going to be great. There's this panel and that panel and that panel." I'm like, if you think you're going to all of those, you're crazy.
Yeah.
Hello, noob.
Yeah.
My rule about Comic-Con and PAX are kind of the same, right? If you're there, you should pick 1 or 2 panels that you absolutely want to see,
Yeah.
and then spend the rest of the time having fun.
But PAX is not on the same level of craziness.
Well,
as
the lines are kind of equivalent
for like
for
the
the
big
size.
Jerry and Mike panel type
Yeah.
things, yeah. But those are the things you presumably want to go
Yeah.
to anyway.
But
most things you can get in.
And you don't have to line up at midnight the night before.
Yeah.
Well, PAX, you have to wait to play games. If you're there to play
that's true.
games, a lot of people are.
That's
then
true.
you're gonna wait 2 hours, to see a Duke Nukem trailer.
But
Play
I
the Duke
also
Nukem.
feel that like just the craziness of Comic Con, and it's so crowded
I've
that
been so sad.
usually by like halfway through the second day I'm like, I'm over this.
Yeah.
So going for one night and one day is enough for
Well,
me.
it's Vegas rules. You want to be out in 48 hours. Except for I think you're right. 24 hours is exactly right for
40
Comic-Con.
hours in Vegas, that's
I can
it?
do. I
That's
can do
all I
much
ever
longer.
want.
I can do much longer. in
3 days,
Vegas.
2 nights.
Yeah,
Okay, that's fair.
yeah. I'm always. Whenever I leave Vegas, it's always a little bit too
Well,
soon.
you-
I
you
wish I
s-
could stay that one more night.
You spa in Vegas too, which helps you rejuvenate.
well,
and
and
get
that's the
fresh
key.
energy.
I mean, that is the trick in Vegas. We've talked about it many times before.
and not drinking anymore too helps.
Not drinking, and just my Vegas is all about gambling, which I love to do.
Yeah.
Fine food, and spa type relaxation, and that
Being
allows you to
rubbed.
recharge your batteries and feel great, and you can get a lot more out of the trip that way.
When you go to the spa, do you get a lady masseuse or a dude masseuse?
I asked for a lady masseuse,
Norm?
not because I'm perverted, but it's
yeah.
Never done the spa.
Really?
you would love it.
Yeah, you'd be all about this.
Are you uncomfortable with someone else putting their hands on you,
Yeah, he's super
even in a
uncomfortable.
therapeutic type context?
It's medical.
You would.
I don't believe
if you
in-
did it, you would have a different attitude.
I see. Everybody has the same attitude at first. Dudes all have the same attitude at first. I don't like being handled, and then you get
But it's
handled.
such a
and
relax. The whole experience from
Yeah,
coming in to leaving.
you're
is
unconscious.
so- it's all about just making you feel good, and you get to hang around in your nice robe and slippers and drink herbal tea and
Yeah,
just relax.
They give you some water with cucumber slices in it.
Take a steam.
Yeah.
Sit in what the best part is, the hot and cold
Did I ever-
tubs, immersion tubs.
The
That's how
splashback where you go from one to the other.
Well, that's how the Romans used
Yeah.
to do it. They would jump back and forth in the hot and cold, going in and
Is
out
that
of hot and cold
true?
tubs. Yeah.
Open
Okay.
pores, closed pores. Open pores, closed pores.
Did I ever tell you my spa story? The
Sauna?
the
Nude
the
sauna?
steam room.
Do I want to?
Have we talked about this on the podcast?
No, I don't think so.
So Gina and I went to some spa for our anniversary one year, and like I was used to the kind of European style spas where you go in and it's like they hand you a little towel that is clearly not substantial enough to cover yourself.
Some guy challenges
just-
you to hold a hot rock in your hand.
Yeah,
to prove
exactly.
that you're ready.
Yeah, and there's a couple of Russian guys in there beating each other with branches.
Yep.
And I'm blind. I can't see. So if I'm going to go in the
it
steam
all
room or the
steam?
sauna, no. I work. At the time I was wearing contacts all the time. But even if you wear glasses, you don't want to wear them in the steam room or in the sauna.
Right. Certainly not.
And so I had to get rid of. Without them, I can't see anything. Right. So I'm in the
Either
spa.
way, you're kind of screwed.
Yeah, I got no choice because if you wear the contacts in, it really hurts, and if you wear the glasses in,
Why?
then you
Because
wear
they
the
kinda
glasses.
get
They get glued to your
condensation
eye,
on
and
them? Okay.
and the liniment stuff that's in the steam in the steam room is kind of mentholy,
Right.
Which is
if
bad.
this story is about you thinking you were reaching for a door handle or something
No,
like
no,
that,
no,
you
no,
just
no,
stop
no,
right
no,
now.
no,
Okay.
no, it's not. It's
Door
not.
handle.
I didn't grab anybody's Johnson. So
The rope, you tugging a rope.
Yeah, no, thank you.
So I do the sauna and and do the hot and cold pools and the hot
fantastic,
tub and
yeah.
the Japanese 220 degree super hot tub.
It's really good.
Yeah.
Water,
You can't
120 degrees.
Yeah.
You can't
water?
stay in for
It's
long.
like 40 seconds.
Yeah, you stay in and you immerse yourself in that, and then you go in the cool
I don't
tub,
wanna-
and
Yeah.
it's fantastic.
It's like menthol for your whole body.
Seriously, you should just take our word for it on this and go give yourself a nice sauna, spa day massage. Get a nice deep tissue Swedish massage, and you'll come back and you'll be like singing its praise. Like, guys, why didn't I do this years ago?
So what I didn't realize about this place, I went in after I'd done all this. The last thing I do traditionally is go to the steam room, and then I go take a cold shower and go get the massage. Right.
That's the right way to do it.
So I went in the steam room with my Johnson towel, my washcloth, basically.
Yeah.
And I sat down. I put the towel down. And I sat down on it, and it's a huge steam room. Like, this is the biggest steam room I've ever seen. The steam's pouring out. It's just hotter and hotter and hotter. Norm's really shaking his head a lot. Do you disapprove
Continue
of
your
the
story.
story?
No, continue.
Okay. So I'm sitting there and I'm like, oh man, it's really hot in here. And about this time, I'm like, wow, there's light coming from the other side of the room. That's unusual. And then the door opens.
What, were you like dying of heat exhaustion?
No. The door opens
Don't
and
go towards the light.
a bachelorette party comes in from the other side of the spa.
No.
So apparently there was a sign at the entrance that said, co-ed area after this point. And I couldn't see it because I'm blind, and the guy didn't tell me when we were doing the tour. Because
So
usually
you
they give you
accidentally
the
had
tour.
wandered into the ladies' area?
No. I walked this
Co-ed area.
The steam room was connected. There were saunas that were separate,
Okay.
and the steam room had doors into the ladies' area and the men's area.
Okay.
So it was a co-ed steam room,
Oh,
but
okay.
everything else was dude only. So I'm
I've never
sitting
even heard
here.
of a co-ed steam room.
I was flummoxed. This
Yeah,
was a
that's-
completely.
I
that's a
assume
new
they
one
read
on
the
me.
sign and they were dressed.
They were wearing bathing suits and
Yeah.
giggling
Yeah,
and
but
having
you
a good
had-
time.
I mean, oftentimes
And
in a
lots of
steam
giggling.
room, you may not even be wearing a towel.
Yeah, it's uncomfortable to wear. Like you don't want to wear wet trunks because they get hot and kind of burn
Absolutely.
you.
But you can wrap a towel around.
You wrap a
it.
towel
That's-
loosely.
But you had
yeah.
the small towel. You had the
They-
washcloth.
Well, and you don't want to sit on the damp tile.
But
That's uncomfortable.
oftentimes in a spa,
Yeah.
in the communal areas like pools and saunas, you are just walking around naked.
Yeah, it's a naked
And
environment.
that can take a little bit of getting used to.
And so-
but you get over it.
And so you were sitting there.
I'm sitting here on my towel, suddenly thinking, "Shit, I need to get the towel on top instead of on bottom," but it's still nowhere near adequate to cover my shame. And about
Your-
this
your
time,
gift.
you get gift, thank you. And about this time, I'm thinking, oh shit, I'm not going to make it. Like I got to get out of here because there's only a limited amount of time you can stay in there before you start getting uncomfortable and
I
too
actually
hot.
I love those steam rooms and sauna type environments, but I have a very limited tolerance.
Yeah.
I mean, I can maybe stay in it for 5 minutes.
5 or
and
10
then I
minutes
gotta
at the
get out.
outside.
and so was this traumatizing?
So I'm sitting there pouring sweat, right, at this point in the steam
Now
room.
just because not because of steam, but because of shame.
Multiple reasons.
Yep.
And there's like six girls. Thank God it's big, right? There's plenty of distance and there's a lot of steam, so you
Is
kind
it
of
the thing
can't
like
see
the
across.
wooden benches all around?
It was the tile,
Yeah.
two levels of tile benches,
Okay.
and I like to sit on the top because I like to get it intense and hot and then get out quickly.
I bet you do.
Yeah. So I'm sitting in there, and
Did you tell the girls that?
what? Yeah.
You like to get it
No, I was just trying to melt
And
into
then
the
get out
wall at this
quickly.
point.
And then
So I was
get
like,
out
hey,
quickly.
why are there women in here? This is wait.
And the thing is, you look like you belong there because you look very kind of European Swedish.
This
with
might have
the
been
beard and
pre-beard.
everything. You
I
look
can't
like-
remember.
You look like someone from
Giant
like
baby.
You look like
Yeah.
someone from like a 1970s Swedish home spa catalog.
Yeah, that sounds about right. Thanks, Gary. I appreciate that. I'm glad you came back from having a baby so quickly to bring me abuse.
I haven't broken stride.
So I had to figure out how the fuck to get out. And
Just leave through the fucking door. Like, what is so socially complicated
well,
about this?
it's because you're naked. Everything's more complicated when you're naked,
This is
This is true.
right?
Yeah, that's very
I mean,
true.
like I had
Well,
to-
so, I mean, sex is actually much less complicated.
that's true. That's true. But I was trying to decide: do I transition the washcloth from front to back to try to as I'm walking away,
Just walk.
or
the
do I?
fuck out.
So I just
The
put it up on
more-
my shoulder and walked out.
Yeah, because you threw it over like a
like
sports
it
coat?
was a sports coat. Yeah.
Wow.
And
that's-
just-
what a damn.
And about this time, Gina walks in and is laughing her ass off. So
Wow.
yeah.
Now I ask the
it's
question:
good.
would you have felt more uncomfortable? Would you rather have the bachelor party or bachelorette party experience?
Bachelorette is the important
Bachelorette
yeah.
party experience where you're there almost naked and 6 women walk in, or you want the Japanese yakuza walk in with the giant dragon tattoos.
I like that idea.
I think the bachelorette party was better.
6 hard dudes
Or Russian
with
mafia
giant,
guys?
giant tattoos on their back,
No.
sitting in the sauna, and you're like squished in between them.
No, that seems really awkward as a blonde white guy.
Now, were the women responding to you? Were they like?
I don't think they noticed
the fact
it
that
first.
This bearded dude sitting here is kind of fucking up
They
our
were
vibe.
they were clearly having their own they were in their own world.
bachelor
and then
parties.
Bachelorette party. You were the
They're enjoying themselves.
The
Yeah.
entertainment.
And then you hear I was sitting there, I was like, maybe they won't notice. And then you hear a couple of little giggles and whispering. And I was like, okay, this is the time to evacuate. So yeah, that was fun. That was my after that I talked to the guy at the tour guide.
Because I've been in a hospital all week. When you say it's time to evacuate, that sounds like
Whole
the
different-
last.
whole-
That sounds like the last thing you want to do in a spa full of women.
No.
Okay, good.
No. Yeah, I talked to the guy afterwards. Was like, hey, you should tell people that the only part when you go through this door, there are girls there. That would be a nice thing to do, since yeah. Anyway, So that was my that's my spa. That's my
Doesn't
bad
help
spa
me
story.
want to
I
be
love
in a
the way the
spa.
podcast is developing this week. It's
There's
just-
no tech news.
Nobody cares.
Yeah, we got nothing.
Is there really nothing?
There is
I'm
tech
fine with
news.
it. By
Norm
the way.
Chan, what do
There
you
is
got?
tech
Give us a
news.
little bit of tech news. We got to keep our like, nutritional content up here.
You want to talk about App Store binaries corrupting?
No.
Okay. You
I do want to talk about that actually.
Okay. All right.
What's up?
There's a bunch of patent stuff. There's Google Nexus, Galaxy Nexus sales stopped because of the Apple lawsuit.
We don't
There's
usually
a
talk
lot-
about
there's a
patent
lot of-
stuff.
There's a
We
lot
can
of
talk about that
lawsuits flying
stuff.
around this week. None of that stuff's
But
interesting.
hold on. I want to talk about the Galaxy Nexus, Apple getting a stop on the Galaxy Nexus sales because I think that's horse shit. Like I think that fundamentally
So does this mean that if I was interested in the current
Canada.
flagship Nexus
in
phone,
the United States,
In the United States also?
yeah,
I could not buy it now?
you can't buy it. You can buy them in Canada still. You can't
So
buy
do
them in
they
the United
physically
States.
have to like go and remove them from store shelves?
I don't think they can't continue importing them. Is the gate?
So they could sell through the stock.
So they
that
can sell through
have,
what they have,
but they have to stop shipments.
but they can't come through customs anymore. And
Right.
Apple had to post like a $50 million bond to cover sales that would be lost during that time.
Now, what is your argument? That Apple doesn't have a case.
I
here
think
to
that
do
their
this?
patents are. I think that I don't think that Apple's patents are illegal in the system that we have. I think that they're taking advantage of what is very clearly a broken patent.
But what
system.
I heard was that Google have a fix for this. That there's going to be some kind of software fix that addresses
I'm sure.
the patent issue, and that actually everything will be fine.
which is why the whole thing is horseshit.
Yeah.
If they have a software fix for it and they can fix it that easily, then it's ridiculous that they would injunct
and then in the same week, didn't Apple actually lose against HTC
the
on a similar
Samsung
thing?
one. I think was
HTC.
it's HTC. You're right.
Yeah.
Yeah, the patent stuff is generally goofy. The reason we don't talk about it is because the patent system in the United States is really, really badly broken with regards to software patents, but also because it is incredibly boring.
Yeah,
most
this
of
is
the
not
time.
terribly. Give us some actual tech stuff.
I actually saw Nexus 7 in the wild.
Really.
Oh,
Yeah.
are they
very
shipping to
comfortable.
customers yet?
I don't think they're shipping customers, but a lot of people from Google I/O had them.
Yeah,
So
there's-
I saw in coffee shops, like some engineers.
Did you talk to him?
Yeah, I picked it up, used it.
What?
and
So you went over
I-
and like cold introduced yourself and
Yeah, I
said,
said, is
I'm
that?
interested-
I asked. I first studied to see whether it was a Galaxy Tab 2.
You don't want to waste your time with a
No, no,
7-inch
no,
Galaxy
not a
Tab
Galaxy
That's
Tab
gonna be a
2.
terrible faux pas.
Yeah,
Yeah.
exactly. So I did the study and I saw that the back said Nexus. I said,
Yeah.
oh, that's a Galaxy Nexus, a Nexus 7.
Right.
And I said, oh, and I said, is that a Nexus 7? And they said,
Are you
yes, it
comfortable
is.
doing that? Just talking to strangers? In
About tech, it's easy. People want to show that
I'm
stuff
comfortable asking about technology. Yeah.
Oh, so the subject. So long as the subject
as
is
long
a
as the
comfortable
subject, yeah,
area.
exactly.
Okay.
I'm
If
not
it was a
gonna-
girl, would you
Yeah.
have cold called?
Yeah, I think so. Yeah.
Okay.
I mean, doubly interesting. I wouldn't ask about handbags. Or
Hey,
anything,
baby, is
right?
that a Nexus 7 in your pocket?
I don't think that would be
That's
appropriate.
not good.
No.
Okay.
It's
can I-
trickier though with a girl because she might be a bit more suspicious that she might not know if you're actually interested in the tech or just using it to like get,
You have to
get a line of
stammer.
dialogue going.
You have to get some good stammering in so she thinks you're a real creeper.
right.
No stammering.
No stammering?
Confidence. It was
Okay.
a coffee shop.
Yeah.
Yeah. like you want a line like, "Hey, I've been staring at you for a long time, and I think that's a Nexus 7.
So I can't see the pixels on that screen.
Can you confirm or deny?"
Can I hold your tablet arm's length to see if I can see
Yes.
the pixels?
Yes.
So
Okay, so
it's-
the guy showed you his
Yep.
tablet.
and it was only for like
That
30
sounds filthy.
seconds,
Yep.
and I moved around the OS Jelly Bean
How
for
is
a little
it?
bit. Fast,
fluid?
very fast.
Good,
It was
yeah.
like it didn't feel too much from the HTC One X, which I thought was smooth anyway. But the things that people talk about, how you can open the widgets menu, like the things that typically take a while to load, that was smoother. Not enough time to really say like within like reading.
Yeah,
like,
obviously.
Safari
How did it
and
feel?
Chrome.
If-
It felt good,
Yeah?
light, very light. And I've handled the
Comfortable one-handed reading.
the Kindle Fire and the BlackBerry, which are both 7-inch
Playbook?
tablets. Yeah, the Playbook and this
the
one
Galaxy
was
Tab 7,
much
too.
easier to hold.
It was. I was watching The Price is Right this morning.
Okay.
Because sometimes
Cherishing your time with your
there's not
child.
much, there's not much else to do in the hospital sometimes. And
Drew Carey's lost a lot of weight.
he's
huh?
lost a lot of weight. And what I love about The Price is Right is every 4th of July they do an episode where everyone in the audience and all the contestants are members of the armed services. It's just
Oh,
nice.
that's
It's a
nice.
nice patriotic
Yeah, that's
thing to do.
awesome.
So as opposed to 20%, it's 100%.
What do you mean?
They give precedence because the way you get into the Price is Right. There was
Yeah.
a long line outside and they interview people.
Studio City.
and
Century City.
I don't know if there's a quota, but they definitely give preference to people who are in armed services.
In uniform.
And on 4th of July, it's everyone. And they're all in uniform. I mean, they make a big production.
no, it's
out of it.
great.
It's great. And anyway, the opening thing today that they had to bid, how like when you're in contestants row and they bring up the thing and everyone guesses on the price and the closest person gets to go up and do the
Yeah,
game.
of course.
The first thing they brought up today was the BlackBerry Playbook. And everyone,
ouch.
clearly nobody in Contessa Road knew what the fuck this thing was. And nobody could get a close guess. And it was a bit embarrassing. Like
Were they going for the MSRP or the actual price that they're selling for now, which is like $150?
I think it's the MSRP.
Oh wow, that's
so,
$500.
Nobody knew what to. Oh, it was a pair of BlackBerry playbooks.
Oh, perfect.
And I think one person guessed like $1,200.
His and hers.
Yeah.
$400. It turns out.
His and hers.
Did you read that article last year about the guy that nailed the showcase price, and they never he was a student of Price is Right and had a spreadsheet with because the thing is they used to recycle prizes, so he had a spreadsheet with all the prices of everything that they ever listed, and he was able to go through
he did like an MIT.
Yeah, it was like breaking down the house. Yeah.
Well, I mean, it's easier than that. It's just memorizing. A lot of memorizing.
Well, but
do you think when they figured that out, Drew Carey
there are
takes it
some
back and
pro people
breaks
without the
his thumbs with a
spreadsheets.
ball peen hammer?
No.
This was
Bob
Barker time, but
who can call the prices of all the tiny things.
Yeah,
they know all the Walgreens prices,
and they know like the MSRP.
They study Procter and Gamble, and
if you, I can't remember on Contestants Rate, if you nail the price and get it right on the money, there's some additional prize.
Is there?
You get it $500 or something, right?
Yeah,
this guy actually did it on the showcase though. He got it right to the dollar.
Big prize.
Yeah, the showcase showdown.
That's like a $20,000-$30,000 prize.
Well, and when you get it right, like when you get within a certain gap, then you'd get both. But nobody had ever gotten it exactly right, and they thought it was cooked, so they didn't actually air the episode.
Wow!
And they held the prize for a really it was a New York article. It was fascinating. I'll dig it up and send it to you.
That's really interesting.
It's good reading for you while you're in the hospital.
So what were we talking about? Oh yeah, playbook.
Yeah. Relevant topics.
Was the person happy?
A lot of
for
stories
winning
about rims circling the
Yeah,
drain.
that's not good.
As well.
Not good for them.
Yeah.
7-inch tablet.
That's where it was.
Yes.
Okay.
Nexus 7. So we have one coming in whenever they ship. I ordered it. Like,
$200. I can see this thing being very popular.
Yeah, so a bunch of people have had it for a while now, and there have been reviews up. Oh, so you can. Other thing I noticed, you can only use it in the portrait mode. You cannot use it in landscape mode.
That's perfect.
Wait, so does that mean it's no good for watching movies?
I'm sure you can watch movies.
You can watch movies.
When you watch a movie, it's going to come up in landscape, but it doesn't flip. The
it
screen.
doesn't. Well, it's like the home screen doesn't.
You can lock. That's a setting. You can. There's a lock setting in the
sure
OS.
about that? Maybe it was locked.
There was in. Well, there definitely was in Gingerbread. I think there was.
I was turning it left and right.
Sorry, there definitely was in Honeycomb. I think there is an ice cream sandwich.
Because there's no physical switch.
No, I know.
So
I personally though would be fine with that.
That's
on a lower end tablet, like web pages and newspapers and magazines, comics randomly rendered.
That's the way I use iPad.
Then when you pull up the Netflix app, you just turn it because it's always.
Well, as much as I love the 7-inch tablet form factor, I don't think it's good for comic books.
Right.
Or
magazines.
Illustrated magazines.
Anything
not magazines like PDF magazines.
Yeah, because you've always got to like zoom in to really see anything and then push around the page.
But
fun.
I think there are like multiple reports, Bloomberg and Wall Street Journal, now saying that quite possibly 7-inch iPad this fall.
And we've been hearing that forever, but now these rumors are kind of back in force again.
Yeah,
September production.
They're really doubling down on the this 7.8-inch iPad form factor with using basically the same screen as the iPhone 3GS.
Yeah, so not
the same. Yeah,
same resolution.
Right.
No. Same pixel density. So you just cut a bigger
as the 3GS.
And that tells me that they're going to be going for
$200.
Going for price.
Exactly. 1024 by 768 at 7.8 inches is actually the
same. But it's still going to be square or more square.
It'll be 4x3. But basically, if you take, because the way you make LCD panels, right? It doesn't come out at this 3.5-inch size. It's a big sheet, and the bigger the sheet, the higher pixel density, the smaller the yields. Because when you have dead pixels, you're gonna cut out the good ones. But the iPhone 3GS, that 480 by 320 screen, those sheets are easily
free.
Cheap.
Yeah,
they're so cheap now. I mean, they were making those in 2007, right? So at this point, they could cut out those bigger sheets, put in decent hardware on that.
So that would be great. I mean, if Apple came in with like a real value proposition at the low end.
Well, do you think they need it? $400 is the iPad 2 right now, which sells really well.
I think a 7-inch. I'm really interested in a 7-inch tablet from Apple just because of the weight and size. I think the closer you can get to mimicking a paperback book, the better off you are.
Yeah. So what do you think? Do you think they're going to do it?
I don't.
You don't.
I think that they're testing the waters.
I think they're going to do it, and the big advantage, even if Nexus 7 sells incredibly well, which from all accounts, Google's making no money from this, it's going to sell well. People who like Android are going to buy it. It is the first Android tablet. Having used one, it seems like it's going to be the first Android tablet to really be confident. You can be confident in buying.
Yeah, if it's any good at $200, it's a really, really. I mean, it looks great on paper.
But remember, they're selling the Nexus 7 at that price because they want to get people in the Google Play buying movies, buying music, buying books, and you compare the Google Play Store with the iOS store, various iTunes and iBooks and stuff. Google Play still isn't near iTunes, and also it's only in the U.S. for the Nexus
time being.
Yeah.
The interesting thing about the Nexus is that they're only selling it through the Play Store. So again, they'll have credit cards on file as well, making it much easier to get people to buy apps.
It's a Google Wallet.
Yeah, the other interesting thing that's happened with Ice Cream Sandwich or Jelly Bean that we didn't talk about yesterday is they're actually going to encrypt applications now. So that should curb Android app piracy, maybe not a ton, but it should help that problem for developers, which is a good thing.
The other Google-related story I saw this week, I thought was like kind of minorly interesting because it kind of shows you the bigger picture of Google, is that Google announced they're pulling the plug on a bunch of their lesser used services again.
They did that a few months ago.
Google Video, Google Mini.
Wow, iGoogle's going away? I thought a lot of people used that.
Yeah. I mean, so it's interesting.
What's Google Mini?
I think it's some kind of server blade.
Right. The business search server.
Yeah. And Google Video obviously has been certainly redundant ever since they bought YouTube.
Yeah.
But it's interesting to, again.
This is like the second time they threatened to kill Google Video.
Well, we've seen so many things like Bars and Wave and, many Google things.
Oh my God, I forgot there was Google Video.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It used to be there was a lot of pirated shit on
They're
Google
telling all
Video.
the users
Well, that's
now,
pirated a lot of like academic stuff too.
Yeah, they sent a message out to all their users saying either download your content or migrate it or delete it because it's going away.
Because I think at this point you can just one button migrate it to YouTube, right?
Yeah. But it speaks a lot about how Google throws so much stuff at the wall. They're so experimental, which I love. But the result is a lot of stuff is going to fail.
I noticed something interesting last night when I updated apps on my iPad, and the Kindle app has been updated for iPad. So now it supports the comics that previously were exclusive only to Fire. And I don't know how new that update is. I forgot to look at the time date stamp.
All right.
But I have Watchmen here if you want to see what that looks like, Jen.
Okay.
It's not as good as...
I didn't like the way there was a huge white border around the page.
Well,
that's wasted real estate.
I think that's the way
4x3 by...
But even when you tap into the frames, it doesn't zoom. Doesn't make the frames big. It just makes them a little bit bigger. Like it could be that this. I downloaded this yesterday, so if it was updated,
that looks good. That's a great way to. It's still a great way to read comics.
I think so.
It.
Yeah,
I love it.
That's why that's why I want a 9.7-inch tablet.
Yeah.
Is to read magazines and see images and photos.
Do you read magazines on the iPad? I don't.
No, I read Instapaper.
I subscribe a lot, and then I read Instapaper.
Oh, no, I take it back. My Wired subscription, I get the free digital because I get the print magazine, and I have more fun reading the print magazine because I hate like the phone navigation. Like,
the scroll sideways, scroll up thing is real weird.
Sometimes multiple pages are condensed into one digital page. You have to tap little tabs to reveal, the review section or something.
Yeah,
I'm not a big fan of that.
Sometimes you just want to read a magazine.
Yeah,
exactly.
You want to have an
read a magazine, which
experience.
is a euphemism for going to the bathroom at the office.
Yeah.
Vinny used to just take his iPad back.
Somebody
that's
made
not
the
good.
point the other day that one of the things that's kind of gone away in the age of like the iPhone or smartphones in general, because you often take your smartphone to the bathroom with you, is that
you don't take your smartphone to the bathroom.
Gary does. He does it at my house even.
The iPads in particular are very popular for the bathroom reading.
You don't take your iPad to the bathroom?
No, I take my iPad goes with me out.
You want to borrow my iPad?
No, I don't want to touch your. Now my iPad 1.
You have a bathroom iPad? That's horrible. That's even
iPad.
worse.
That's
my iPad 1.
That's very 1%.
Yeah.
Well,
I use my second iPad for the bathroom.
iPad 1.
I wipe my ass.
Only a chud takes their primary iPad into the bathroom with them. They don't have a dedicated
it's like the
bathroom
Seinfeld
iPad.
episode.
Do you have an iPad in each bathroom?
God, no.
Or just one that you
He only uses one bathroom at his house.
Okay.
Yeah, I have my own bathroom. So.
1% norm.
One of the things that's gone away is and I missed this kind of, is like reading the shampoo bottle on the toilet wheel. Because you want something
I saw that the other day on Reddit.
Yeah.
The 1992 Head and Shoulders bottle.
Yeah.
2006 iPhone.
That's right.
2000.
It's amazing,
it's
amazing how when you're pooping,
really?
anything
iPhone?
is fascinating to read.
Do you not know how many iPhones meet their demise in the toilet?
That's
And
terrible.
I'll tell you something else. It's a lot more hygienic than reading a paper magazine.
Yeah.
With porous pages and things.
Well, you
that could
keep the
collect
paper
germs.
in the bathroom, and then when you're done, like your Entertainment Weekly or something, and
That
then
is
at
the
end of
ultimate
week,
bathroom magazine.
You pick up the bag that it's in, and that goes away to the recycling.
I just leave them stacking.
I
so
think
they get
no,
higher
no,
and
you don't.
higher.
I'd be interested in hearing
Stacking.
from tested readers on this because I think you're in the minority on this one.
Yeah, I bet.
I think because I think iPad, a tablet in the bathroom. If you're going to keep that in the bathroom area or wipe it down, because I doubt that you wipe your phone down after using.
What
are you doing? Are you getting when you're ready to do wiping? Then you put the device down and use
yes,
use both
but there
hands.
are particles in the bathroom. It's gross.
Norm's afraid
Things
of
that go.
Norm's afraid of poo.
He's afraid of fecal mist.
Right. What?
Who
Are you
would
eating
be?
a Lestra?
Are you telling me you're not afraid of the particles? in your
I know
bathroom?
some people who rate laptops based on how hot they make their lap while they're on the shitter.
Oh God.
What about now? What about when you-
No, laptops especially.
Okay,
Guess where I use that laptop, Norm?
Here's a usage scenario: when you go to a public bathroom and you've got your phone with you, and there's nothing else to
Phone,
read, don't you bust
public
it out
bathroom?
then?
No, you public bathroom. You're there and you're out as soon as possible.
It
You
depends
wanna
on is it a squatting public bathroom or is it a sitting public bathroom?
Even if it's a sitting public bathroom, it is like a time trial. It's like the Olympic time trial. If
You
you're
can't
not
wait to
out,
get out of there.
You cannot wait to get out of there.
Oh, see, I like to linger. I like to enjoy.
I'm
no.
sensing some extreme hygiene.
Yeah, Norm has
issues.
some butt issues.
Yeah, are
Seems
you like Howie Mandel?
Also, okay, if you're with your friends out, eating dinner or something at,
that's
at a
different.
restaurant,
Yeah.
and you had excuse yourself to use the bathroom, you want to go.
Well, yeah, that's a situation where you want to minimize the shitting
minimize
time.
the time,
Yeah.
so it's ambiguous which one you did.
Yeah, you could have had a long pee.
It
Oh
could
my
have been a
God,
long
you're
line.
putting so much
Yeah.
thought.
It could have been a
You
long
actually
line.
Put that much
It's
thought
like,
into
oh,
this.
there was such a long line. I wasn't taking a shit. You never want to acknowledge
Well,
that.
the thing is, Norm's still on the hunt for girls. You and I have different priorities at this point.
You have to project a whole other image that women
Yeah.
I've long since given up on.
Let's give it up.
Norm doesn't poop.
No,
'Cause-
no.
right.
Just like
But
girls don't poop. I don't poop either.
But let's say it's just you.
Okay.
And there's no one else to worry about how long you've been in the bathroom.
Like, say
And
you're out buying pants for yourself.
Well, no, but you're in the lobby of like a really fancy hotel that have really
Okay,
nice
Four
bathrooms.
Seasons.
Now I know Four Seasons does have a wonderful
Fucking
bathroom.
great
In Las
bathroom.
Vegas. Four
The
Seasons.
one here is magical.
Oh,
It's my number
Those
one
bathrooms
downtown.
are cleaner than the ones
Oh,
we
yeah.
have at home.
Yeah.
Mall
They're clean like
bathrooms are
every 20
terrible.
minutes.
Yep. Casino bathrooms, nice casino bathrooms, and nice hotel bathrooms.
Yeah.
The public ones, even the lobby. Go to the Cliff.
Casino
bathroom there.
bathrooms
Oh,
see too
yeah.
much
Beautiful.
use.
So nice.
Beautiful.
Even there. Right. Even if it's like, a very private stall, whatever, you want to be out of there as soon as possible. It is a public area. Why be there any longer than you have to?
I don't-
I don't know.
I disagree.
I don't have a complex
efficient.
about this.
It's not a complex. It
And seriously, stressing about people figuring out how long you've been in the bathroom, whether you're doing ones or twos, really?
Well, like if you're at the bar or something, and
if you were on a
don't-
date with a girl, that's
Yeah.
one thing, because you don't want the girl to think you just came back having took a shit. Like that
Right.
is not cool.
not cool. No, not cool.
No. Yeah, I really dropped a steamer in there.
Yeah.
Yeah.
No, it's I see if I'm especially if I'm in a nice hotel bathroom where I'm doing a full sit. There's like a full high door on the stall.
Right.
I've had to share hotel rooms with Will Smith before.
Yeah.
It is uncomfortable. Those are some thin walls.
You're lucky.
Not
you're,
gonna, don't
you're
take your
lucky.
iPhone. The iPhone stays protected in my
you think you're-
antiseptic pocket.
That doesn't protect
It's like they
from
should
anything.
have, you know how they have the little liners, those little
the ass
liners?
gasket.
They should have little paper iPhone covers, disposable covers. That you
So
can-
there's plastic on one side, the capacitive
Yeah.
plastics. You
Yeah.
can still.
Do you know how to work the ass gasket? I can never get the ass gasket to
Okay,
work.
are you
right.
sure you don't know?
It's connected in those three little places, right?
Yeah.
I'll tell you, I was doing it wrong the entire.
You put the flap down the front, right?
flap is down the front because the dirtiest part of
Yeah,
a
is-
public
is
bathroom
the-
is the nook in the
See?
front.
You didn't know how to use it right.
You don't pull out the whole.
Right, you're
front
not
thing.
making a sliding board for the
No.
for the weasel.
That goes up the front.
Well, it's
because
not
you
so-
don't want your Johnson to be touching
No, I
the
get
dirty
that.
ass, dirty little nook.
It's not so much that as
It's
it is.
the
I
only
always
weak
have
point.
I always have a hard time separating the little inner part.
It's only three
from the
tears.
out-
Now, here's-
Yes, but I always fuck it up.
No. Here's how you do it. You fold it when it comes out. You fold it in half, and it's a top tear and then the two tear. And that's it. Two tears.
See, I just don't use the ass gasket. I just sit down. I figure my ass is unbroken
this
seal.
feels like a tip of the day. I think there's a video in this.
You can do it with one hand. You do the whoop. You pull it out with one hand.
Yeah.
Like
pull
a
up
flick the
and
wrist.
down.
And
And
that's-
you pull up and then down.
And this is a skill that you've developed as part of your in and out
yes.
doctrine as quickly as
and then
possible.
you fold with one hand, and the other hand you tear the top,
Yeah.
which is one part,
Yeah.
and then the curve, because it's folded in half
Yeah.
vertically, is you just tear those two together because
Okay.
you don't want to tear too hard.
Yeah.
Because then you rip in half.
Yeah, you don't want that.
Tear the two sides, and then you set it
No,
down.
I'm guessing
and
you're the kind
sometimes
of-
you double stack.
I'm guessing you're the kind of person that when you go into a public bathroom,
You double stack
can-
the ass gasket?
Well, what if someone peed on the
I would just not shit there.
Well, then you got to squat.
I just don't. I can control myself. Okay. I think we should move on.
Arms raised up in the air.
We have about 20 minutes left with Gary. Do we want to talk about the miracle of birth?
We
Or do you
can.
wanna
I
save
don't
that
I don't want to
for-
freak Norm out.
I'm okay freaking Norm out.
I've done. done my job freaking you out with the
Do
poo
you
etiquette.
want me to tell you what Will's big idea was?
Yes, please.
Well, it was my idea.
It was your idea.
But I mentioned it as a joke, and Will said, "No, we really have to do that to Norm," and I voted it down.
The
So I
word
just wanted-
"to" Norm.
Yes.
"To" is
Will
bad.
thought this was hilarious.
I
course
thought
he did.
I thought that what Gary should do is text you.
Well,
It's Gary's idea.
So I have some really good pictures of the placenta taken up really close.
Yeah,
'Cause when we were
it's
in
like macro
When we were in the
shot.
operating room,
Did you bring your camera in?
Talk about
yeah,
the whole thing.
They encourage you to do it.
You brought the nice camera. So the
No, I know
skills-
iPhone because I didn't bring the fancy camera.
Why didn't you bring the fancy
Because
camera?
He didn't want to.
You can zoom in. You can.
And trust me, there were times when the zooming in actually would have been really useful. But I wasn't thinking.
Okay. Yes.
But anyway, towards the end of the operation, one of the surgeons said to me, "Would you like to see the placenta? Because it's actually quite interesting." And I said, "I would love to." And I went over and looked at it. It was fascinating. They hold it up and they show you this is the.
Wait, what? I don't know what when you say placenta. I know what it is technically.
Yeah.
What is the shape, consistency?
It's an amazing coincidence.
Would you
What
like
is-
to see it?
Yes, you do.
Come on,
It's
man.
cool, dude.
Okay, explain to me. Give me the word picture first. What is
Okay.
it supposed to be?
The best way I can describe it to
Is it a
look-
sheet? Is it a
it looks-
tube? Is it?
So it looks kind of like the shape of it is it's basically kind of flat, and it has a bag, like a bag attached to it.
Yeah.
By the umbilical cord that the baby lives in the sack. And the surgeon was able to, but it was laying out flat on. It looks like a big.
They cut it open.
It looks like a really big piece of liver or something, like a big flat piece.
This is
of,
what the baby is inside.
No.
not inside the
This is what
placenta.
feeds the baby.
The whole thing, everything that is in there that isn't the baby consists of the placenta, the umbilical cord, and the amniotic sac that the baby lives in.
Okay. Got it.
Right. So this is what the connection between the mom and the baby.
Yes.
It's the Ethernet port.
And so they showed me the
It
whole
is
thing.
anything- it is
wasn't
what the
just
cord
it
connects
wasn't
to.
just the placenta that was in this big dish. It was the placenta and the cord and the amniotic sac. And they lifted it up and kind of showed me the whole thing. And I was kind of looking at it. I'm going to show you a picture, and this is going to be a big step forward.
Should I get a bucket or something first, just in
He's
case?
going to be fine.
I've had lunch.
He's going to be fine.
There's a plastic bag over there. You could Mitch Hedberg that shit.
I'm going to ask you to angle this away from the camera for people that may not wish to see such things.
So what Gary wanted to do was send you a text.
No, it wasn't what I wanted to do.
Well, what Gary suggested,
And
jokingly.
this will do a better job than any word picture ever could.
That's a lot of red.
Oh, no, there you go.
That's so gross.
But I'm so
What
proud. I'm so proud that you've been able to look at it.
Oh my God.
It's nature. It's the miracle of nature.
That is
Norm.
so gross.
It's not gross at all. It's quite
it's the
beautiful.
magic of life, man.
Anyway,
It's like the reddest Jello I've ever seen.
I'm glad that you voluntarily. It looks like the other thing it looks like a flat brain. It looks like
Yeah,
a human
a
brain.
bloody brain.
Yes, it
flattened
looks like
out.
someone shot a shotgun into someone's head, and that is
It
that
looks
is-
like a
If
big
you saw this in a
Walking Dead
movie,
head
you would
trauma
think,
wound.
oh, it's perfectly normal.
That's because I can detach myself from reality when watching a movie.
If you had seen, if you
fair
could
enough.
only imagine the amount of blood I've seen in the last week, it is
I-
unbelievable.
the sponge tree was terrifying.
that was
oh
like-
yeah, you don't want to know about the sponge tree.
no,
Gary hit me at
no.
like 11 o'clock Monday night, maybe Tuesday
Yeah, I
night.
showed you the
And-
sponge
and
tree.
just kept
'Cause
sending me
it's
pictures.
medically and scientifically fascinating. We should, when we have more time, maybe next week,
Yeah.
we'll talk about some of these things in more detail.
Yeah. Well, next week we'll be at Comic
At
Con.
one point, when I was in the cesarean, I was able to look over the shield because the surgeons are looking right at you because Leah is like there with the shield up, and I'm sitting there with her because she's awake through the whole.
So you're next to
operation.
her, okay?
Yeah, I'm sitting
next to
there
her
with
head.
Okay.
as her kind of birth partner.
Yep.
And I can see the surgeons working away. Just can't see what they're doing because they've got the shield up.
Okay.
And at one point, the chief surgeon looked at me because every now and again they look at you and go, just tell me
Yeah,
everything's
of
going
course,
great.
yeah.
And then she said at one point, "Do you want to peek and take a look at what we're doing?" This is after the baby's out and like there's not so much.
So
stress.
just
all
to
we're
be-
doing now is closing her up.
This
again.
was a C-section.
It was a cesarean.
We didn't
section.
tell anybody that yet, but yeah.
And here's what's fascinating is in my layman's understanding of what a C-section is.
Yeah.
I thought they would cut a slit in a lady's belly, pull a baby out, sew it back up.
yeah.
Slightly more complicated
Well,
than that.
you learned that from like watching westerns or
Yes.
something.
What they in fact do is cut your belly open, unpack your entire reproductive system, take the baby out of that, and then pack everything back in. I have another picture that I'm not going to show you of Leah's. I have another picture that I'm not going to show you of Leah's uterus sitting outside of her body on her belly.
Yeah, and they disassemble the layers to make sure it's intact.
I have that picture. Yes.
So double tap the focus.
I went over and
Double
took a
tap
picture.
the focus. No.
And I went over and I said,
no
can
flash
I
photography.
said, can I take a picture? And they said yes. And I took a picture, and it was so fascinating. I ended up watching for about 5 minutes, and eventually the surgeon said to me, "You can take a peek, but you can't stare for too long because it's
blind you."
It's distracting for us."
Yeah,
and I'm like, "Well, look, you're the last people in the world I want to distract right now, so I'll just sit back down." But it was a really interesting left brain, right brain reaction because it was incredibly emotionally invested in the whole process. And it was very fraught and very harrowing. And Leah had an epically difficult 52-hour labor that ended in a cesarean section, and so it was just nightmarishly overwhelming emotionally. But and at the same time, it's medically and scientifically fascinating. So both halves of my brain were having very different reactions to it. But so I looked over, and they had the anesthesiologist who's standing next to me, because he sits at the head as well, who was standing next to me and said, "You see that big thing that looks like a huge red balloon?" And I thought it was some kind of
like medical
balloon bag thing. And I said, "Yeah." And he said, "That's the uterus."
Norm, you're such a
Here's what they actually do is I kind of got it wrong. But what they actually do is they cut everything's in place. They cut the baby out of the uterus through all the soft muscle and everything, and then they unpack it to make sure they didn't nick anything, because the bladder and everything, there's other things there that they don't want to damage. They make sure everything's fine, and then they put it, and it's like unpacking and packing a suitcase, and then they close it all up again.
Right, because the uterus is multiple layers of smooth muscle or something,
your
right?
mind boggles that we can do this, that this is what we do in medicine. These are the things we're able to do.
Do you remember when Tom Green had testicular cancer, and he decided to air it on cable TV?
Yeah.
You know how they do that? They go not from the bottom, they go from the top. They take out all your intestines and put them on the side of the table.
Yeah.
And then go down and then operate.
Yeah.
Oh.
Yeah. Oh, and the other thing they had to do that was fast, because we were so close to being able to deliver through the front door, but in the end, the baby just didn't want to come that way. But it was so close that when they actually did the C-section, they had to reach up and push the baby back up so they could get to it via C-section.
Wow.
Oh my God.
Wow.
Yeah, it's fascinating. It's absolutely fascinating. So the sponge. I'll tell you about the sponge tree real quick. So they use a lot of sponges.
Yeah,
to
equipment in general,
to soak
right?
up blood, and equipment in general. And they put them in these little racks, like it looks like a tie rack, but with these kind of bloody sponges hanging from it. And it really does look like something from a fucking Hostel movie.
Yeah,
there's blood everywhere.
Yeah,
but this is what I didn't realize. This is fascinating. You know, back in the old days, they would occasionally sew patients back up when they'd left a sponge in them.
Or forceps or whatever.
That happens all the time.
Yeah.
Norm's face, it's priceless.
Yeah, you think doctors are fucking on the ball and don't make mistakes?
So now the sponges all have little QR codes on them, like little Android phone codes.
Oh my God.
And they're scanned in and out. It's because every sponge and every instrument is accounted for
you had the text
in and out again.
Look at the QR code.
Norm hates QR codes. He knew not to bother you with QR codes.
So you basically hate everything about this conversation.
Yeah. The blood, the gore, and the QR
what was the thing?
codes.
Were you gonna email me a photo or something?
So I said there's got to be some way to gank Norm with a placenta photo, because we know he would hate it. And I said, well, here's one way we could do it.
Yeah.
I was going to say to Norm. So I worked on this movie After Earth that's coming out next year, and I was going to say to Norm, text him
with Will Smith and M. Night Shyamalan
and the other Will Smith.
Yeah.
And
next June, I think, right?
Next June 7th, 2013. Hey, come to Comic-Con Saturday, 10 a.m., room 6A, and you'll see us talk about it.
Perfect.
6A, BCD.
So yeah.
I was going to text you, hey, do you want to see a really cool After Earth photo?
No.
And then
I
when
would
you
have clicked
say
that
yes,
immediately.
and when you say yes, I send you a placenta picture and go, oh no, I meant to say after birth photo. Damn you, autocorrect. So it actually would have been pretty good.
It would have been awesome.
I only meant that as a joke, and then Will spent the next 15 minutes trying to convince me to actually do it. He wanted me to text you during the podcast because he didn't think I would be here, just to get your reaction live on the podcast.
After Earth, after birth.
After Earth, after birth.
It's an honest mistake.
That's very
clever.
They
would have been legit. Yeah, they would have been legit.
It was, but instead the opportunity was wasted. Never,
so I have a lot of other pictures of sponge
again.
trees and all kinds of disgusting.
Yeah, as the
medical
photographer
stuff.
though, I'm a little disappointed that you didn't bring the nice camera.
I think it just would have been weird to be over there like fucking Peter Parker or something, you know, focusing in with the zoom lens.
Well, and the fact
while you know the mother of my child is spliced open on a table.
Well, you were doing it with the iPhone.
But
but that just kind of feels more. I don't know. And the pictures are good enough.
Okay. It seemed like from your mental state after 50 hours, probably you weren't in condition to operate.
Operating rooms are incredibly bright.
Yeah,
yeah, and trust me. When she's being wheeled into the operating room and I'm getting scrubbed up to go in there, I'm not like, oh, let me get my good camera. Like, it's just not what you're thinking
plug the
about.
SD card and you photo stream, like check your photo stream. The fuck?
It's just Okay, there's my alarm going off.
Yeah, so you've got 10 minutes before 2:40. Do you want to take a break now?
I'll give you 5 more minutes, but then I should go.
Anything else we want to talk about with Gary before? So at the end of this, though, just so everybody knows, beautiful girl, 10 toes, 10
beautiful
fingers.
Baby girl born 2:28 a.m. on Monday morning from a labor that started midnight on Friday.
That's a long time.
Epically long.
Yeah.
And I thought it was very sweet that you were, because I went into a bit, and I was so nervous. I didn't want to be updating people, but I was very much aware of the fact that people who knew that we had gone into labor were like, why haven't we heard anything yet?
Oh, yes.
And so you were Googling, like, how long can labor last?
I had on my phone, out at dinner, Googled many times.
That's very
how
sweet.
long can labor
Norm and I
last?
had multiple back and forth terse iMessages.
The answer is it's not supposed to last 52 fucking hours. But it did. And Leah is an absolute superhero. And I am just in awe of her strength and courage in getting through this thing in one piece.
The tech nerd part of us, though, I was wondering which social network would you choose as your favored one, most favored social network to give the first update? Because I was doing the Google Plus, Twitter, Facebook.
I think I would probably do it on Twitter.
Okay.
Because Google Plus is kind of a wasteland, and I don't know.
Facebook.
But yeah, I was aware that we had done a kind of like a water breaking, here we go type thing at the beginning of the process. So you kind of start the clock ticking on people that know what you're talking about.
One.
Yeah.
So I was a little bit nervous about. I just wasn't in the mood to. It wasn't one of these things like, oh, I've got to put this on the social networks. It's like I didn't want to update anyone until we had really good news. Family members were getting updated, but everyone else, fuck them. It just wasn't important to us.
Leah was
at that time.
tweeting and texting, or not tweeting, but texting.
Well, I mean, the amazing thing is she was much more resilient. I was more freaked out than she was. She's super good at this sort of stuff. Like, she wasn't afraid. She was she was dealing with like levels of pain that I would have run up the white flag long ago, but she was taking it like a champ.
What did Bill Cosby say? It's like putting your tongue on your bottom lip or your tongue over your head or something.
She described it as, I'm not going to tell you how she described it, because it was awful. It was agonizing to watch and very harrowing, but in the end it was all worth it, because we have a beautiful baby girl and we couldn't be more happy. And Will and Gina came to visit the hospital and got to meet her.
Yeah, she's fantastic.
Yeah.
She's amazing.
Yeah.
I mean, I'd never held a 1-day-old baby before, and
it took Will some convincing, because Gina was holding her and she was loving it. And I said to Will, "You sure don't want to hold her?" He's like, "Oh," like he was worried he might drop her. He was just kind of.
It was more the head. Honestly, it's the head transfer, because the thing about the head,
around.
you got to hold the head.
Yeah,
you got to.
Unlike Chloe, where you hold the ass.
But you just put the hand behind the head, or you keep it in the crook of your arm. And
It was literally the fear thing for me. The fear thing for me is moving from one person's arm to the other. That seems like the danger point. Yeah. Everything else seems pretty easy.
And the funny thing is, I used to be terrified. I had the same thing, terrified of like taking other people's kids and want to drop them. You don't know how to hold them.
I don't touch your new iPhone. The amazing thing is,
after like 3 days now, when Leah and I we practically like toss this baby around like a football.
It's great.
Like, here you go.
Social services is listening right now.
You just get used to it, and you become much more comfortable holding it. And now I can kind of like move around the room with the baby in the crook of my arm, like they call it the football hold.
Yeah,
it's all legit.
Yeah,
it's amazing. Well, 20 years later, we'll be like, oh, I remember when Babby was just a babby.
Yeah. And well, the great thing is, if she's ever a pain in the ass years later, we've got a great labor story to guilt trip her with. It's like, you have no idea what we went through trying to bring it to this world.
Hey, if you don't do this right, I'm going to make you look at pictures of your placenta.
The great thing was, though, I thought it was really cute how, like, after 10 minutes of you holding the baby, I was like, do you want to give her back? Are you done? And
no,
you're like,
good.
no, I'm good. Like,
but you just keep looking down and you're like, oh my God, I can't believe this little thing came out of her yesterday. That's amazing.
It's just delightful and miraculous and just the best thing in the world.
It's fantastic. Well,
and on that note,
let's take a quick break. Thanks, Gary, for coming out, and go back to your wife.
So
and
no podcast next week, because you'll be at
probably
Comic-Con,
not.
right?
I think we might, maybe Norm and I will jam something out on Tuesday or something before we go.
But if you want to say hello to me at Comic-Con, 10 a.m. Saturday morning, room 6A for the After Earth panel, and then later that day, 2 p.m. in room 25 ABC, I think, for the Image Comics panel, where I will have something to announce.
Something new.
Not yet been announced yet.
Oh,
so that's cool.
Exciting.
I mean, for people who can't make it to Comic-Con, will we do any type of after Comic-Con, who live in the San Diego area, maybe a quick meetup or something? Downtown San Diego, Gaslamp.
Possibly in the earlier part of Friday night, I might be able to do something.
Friday night, maybe.
All right.
Okay. Go have cocktails or something someplace?
Yeah.
Sounds good,
We'll
guys.
tweet it out.
Yeah.
All right. Thanks, guys. Thanks
Gary.
for having me. I'm going back to my family.
Go say hi to the wife and kids.
Sounds so weird. All right. See you later.
Bye, guys. And we're back. Joining us, taking the seat of Gary Whitta, is Andy McCurdy. How you doing, Andy?
I'm good. How are you?
You need to get right up on that microphone, sir.
I'm right up on it.
Yeah. Fabled Top Men, Django expert, Python user extraordinaire. You're wearing a Django t-shirt right now. Tell people what Django is.
Django is a web framework built on top of Python.
So it's like WordPress, except for Python and not PHP.
Well, WordPress is a framework, but it's more of a walled garden. It's meant for blogs.
Okay.
Whereas Django is more general purpose. It's more meant for, you can certainly build a blog in it, but you can also build various other types of applications.
Instagram is built on Django.
It is, yes.
What else? I know there's some e-commerce stuff that's built on Django.
Discuss is built on Django.
The comments plugin thing.
Yeah.
Okay.
There's a fair bit of high profile sites now that are
Including such sites as Tested and Giant Bomb and Comic Vine and Screen.
I hear those are all on Django.
They're all Django sites as well. Cool. So what are you doing? What are you doing these? So you came with us, or we came with you? I don't know what the get right up on that thing. Don't be afraid of it. Don't be shy.
I did. I set sail with you and Norm and
Kuntz and Horn and
Horn. Yeah,
and that's it.
And the
Joey.
guys.
Yeah, and Hansa and his crew.
Yes.
The Czech Republic crew.
Yes.
So what have you been doing lately? We've been talking. I mean, I guess we talk on IM all the time, but it's usually just me bitching at you about things. So,
well, we relaunched Tested, and we launched our mom's site.
Okay.
That was fun.
That seemed fun.
It was a little bit of natural birth control, but nevertheless,
So you're never having kids now, is what you're telling me?
Yeah, more or less.
Okay.
More or less, yeah.
Like, how far are you willing to go to not? Norm at this point, I think, is gonna be celibate from here on out because he doesn't want to have to deal with the birth process after talking to Gary for the last hour.
I go voluntary coma for 10 months, 9 months, 8.5 months. Yeah.
You just become a priest.
No, I just want the coma between the
You just want to wake up when the baby's new.
Process. Exactly.
Gotcha.
Yeah, new babies are pretty cute.
That's awesome.
Like you see a new baby and it hits I'm a little older than you guys, but it hits me. And you're like, oh man, baby. Yeah, baby. That's a good looking baby.
Mm-hmm.
Tell us about the Amazon EC2 outage and how weather destroyed part of the internet last week.
You mean clouds taking on other clouds?
Cloud versus Cloud 2012.
So most of the outage was actually caused by a power outage.
Okay.
It's unclear whether
You'd think they'd have like a battery backup or something on that thing, right?
Yeah, most
Set
large
for Home
data
Depot?
centers have some sort of like diesel generator
Yeah,
backup.
big Caterpillar 20 megawatt generators
like
or something,
huge.
right? Yeah.
It's unclear to me if they kicked in and ran out or if they just didn't start at all.
So when you've bought space at data centers. So this is something I don't really understand how it works. When you buy space at a data center, which we don't do because we use Amazon Cloud Services, but if we were say buying either rack space and putting our own machines in it, or buying like pre-configured rack machines at a data center, when you buy it, do they say, "Hey, we have this much battery backup," and then the generators kick in, and we're good at that point for this long?
Yeah, that's generally a service that's that they tout on their website. So that and generally they'll be plugged into a number of different backbones like AT&T or
Verizon,
and Sprint and
Okay. So those are the two kind of primary
for
things.
power and network.
Okay.
Those are the two things that you're buying at a data center: power and network.
Okay.
Certainly space as well.
Physical space.
But that's generally not that expensive.
But okay, but we use Amazon Cloud Services, which is just a fancy way of saying virtual machines in a giant computing cloud, right?
Yeah. So we're basically leasing virtual machines from Amazon. So Amazon's data centers have hundreds of thousands of servers running all the time. And they go in and they partition them out into various sized units of capacity. So you can go and get a teeny little one CPU virtualized.
So that's like one virtual CPU and 2 gigabytes of RAM and 16 gigabytes of storage or something like that, real small.
Exactly. All the way up to, I believe the top is like 32 processors or 64 processors, virtual now.
Yeah.
And up to, I think, 68 gigs of RAM.
Wow. That's a lot of RAM.
And then virtually endless storage with EBS.
Infinite cloud storage.
Yeah, more or less.
Okay, so power goes out in Virginia.
Yep.
2 million people or a million people or some ridiculous number of people are out of power. My mom was driving up to DC last week and said that just the entire Interstate 81 was filled with power trucks coming from all over the South to help people up there, which is what power companies do. The batteries work for so long, then the generators kick in. The generators run out. What happens? Is there some dude running around there like crazy just flipping power switches? Thousands and thousands and thousands of
do
power
the servers
switches.
know that power is going out and they're running on fumes, and if
It's
they
possible.
start backing up?
I mean,
and,
a lot of the battery backup systems are intelligent enough to communicate to the server, like, I only have 5 minutes left.
Yeah.
Or at least the consumer grade ones. I have to imagine that the enterprise ones are even more sophisticated. But they'll notify the server and say, I'll shut down gracefully at this point.
Okay.
So there are a couple different pieces of AWS that experience difficulty.
AWS is Amazon Web Services.
Yes, sorry. So EC2, the Elastic Compute Cloud, is all of the virtualized computing.
Oh, it's EC2
instances.
because it's 2 C's.
Yeah,
That's
there you
clever.
go. And it's S3, Simple Storage Service, because it's
It's like the
3Ss.
W3 is the World Wide Web.
Yeah,
Okay.
exactly.
simple storage service.
Nerds.
That's gonna come up in Jeopardy one day.
No, it's way too nerdy for Jeopardy.
At least, I don't know.
Okay.
Okay.
So anyway, so one is the CPU side, the computer side, and one is just buckets of storage.
Exactly.
Okay.
Exactly. And so EBS is EBS is Elastic Block Store.
Okay.
So that's like network attached storage.
Oh, okay. So if you want a SAN or something like that.
Exactly.
Okay.
Yeah, it's more of a NAS,
Okay.
network attached storage. A SAN is mostly like fiber connected.
It's high speed for video and
Ex-
stuff like that,
exactly.
right? Yeah.
So,
okay.
a lot of people, what they'll do is put their databases and kind of critical data on EBS.
Okay.
The benefit there is that if a single EC2 instance goes down, they can reattach that EBS mount to another EC2 instance.
Oh, okay. So it requires a little.
Think about it as like a USB drive, and I can plug that USB drive into another computer if my laptop dies.
So when you're dealing with the cloud stuff with the EC2 and AWS and Rackspace has similar offerings. There's a bunch of other people that do. So you can run it on. You can run a VMware Zen and do the same kind of thing with your own machines if you want.
Sure.
But you kind of have to think differently than you do about hardware, because instead of setting up the machines to run on one particular configuration of hardware, you just set up the virtual machine to run, and then you can make as many instances of that as you want. Or if one dies, and you can bring it up someplace else, or like it gives you much more flexibility in dealing with the things that get weird about servers, like
It
problems.
It does, but it also has its own set of limitations as well. So for one, when you have a virtualized storage option or even virtualized servers, you're paying an overhead price for the computing power. So it's hard to get similar performance numbers out of a single EC2 virtualized instance versus a bare metal server.
But the difference is you can spin up 7 of these for about the same price as one bare metal server.
Exactly. And so your application has to be aware of that as well and take that into account when you're building it. So you want to do as much work in a distributed way, so harnessing the power of many of these computers versus a single box.
So I mean, does that mean that you want to have typically for a site our size at least, you'd probably have one database server and then a few web front ends.
Right.
For this, do we have multiple database servers as well?
We have multiple database servers for redundancy's sake.
Okay.
So if the primary goes down for whatever reason, we can just tell the web servers, hey, go over here. We can promote that secondary server up to be the master.
Okay.
And continue on from
And it
there.
just keeps a constant mirror or even just connection to the EBS volume.
It actually has its own set of EBS volumes, and so it's using built-in replication. So it's connected to the master server and basically replays every operation that happens on the master server on it.
Oh, okay.
And so it has, at any given time, it has a near real-time view on the master database.
Okay, so now we understand a little bit what happens inside a data center, one data center.
Yep.
But there's a whole bunch of these Amazon data centers strewn around the world. There's one in Ireland, there's in Seattle and San Jose and Northern Virginia, and all
Right,
over
and
the
so
place,
those are actually regions.
Okay.
And so within any region, there are up to 5 availability zones, which is Amazon's fancy terminology for a data center.
for a building.
Yes.
Or is that a network
no.
construct, or is it a physical building?
It's supposed to be a physical building.
Okay.
So their whole idea is that the availability zone within a region is supposed to be autonomous, meaning if one availability zone goes down, it doesn't take any of the other 4 with it.
Okay.
And it's all redundancy. So what's in one is going to be in the rest of the 4.
No. So it's that's completely up to you. When
Like if you want to pay for it, basically, right?
Exactly. So the nice thing that they do is that Amazon, everything that all the costs that you incur at Amazon are all billed like rate style, like electricity
It's
right?
literally like
So
this many
it's
dollars per hour.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. Or this many cents per gigabyte transferred. And so the nice thing that Amazon does is they don't charge for internal traffic between different availability zones in the same data center. So it makes it fairly cheap to maintain like a separate set of critical systems in other availability zones for expressly the purpose of backup and like fast recovery.
So we have a tested and then a ghost tested in a different availability zone in case that first goes down.
Right.
But we don't have a ghost tested outside of that availability zone, outside of that data center.
Not right now.
Okay.
Correct.
Because
So
if we're down for a day, it's not that big a deal.
right. So services like Netflix, which also rely on AWS, they have clusters worldwide.
Okay.
So
Is that for like performance, for geo performance, or is that for redundancy?
I imagine both.
Okay.
So they will detect based on where your IP address geolocate you and route you to the appropriate data center.
Okay.
But also for redundancy, there was an outage. There's an AWS outage. I don't know if it was it might have been the big one, but Netflix didn't really go down at all.
Okay. The big one, Netflix. Hold on. No, the big one, Reddit went down. Netflix was up, I think.
Yeah.
When
and,
we were
and,
down.
And so Netflix got a lot of Netflix's engineering blog got a lot of publicity at that point because they were saying like, hey, this is how we think about these things. This is
Here's why.
Here's how we approached it. Here's why we didn't go down.
Yeah.
That kind of thing. And so after that first outage back in April
like August
of
of-
2011, I think it was.
It was last year sometime.
Yeah. A lot of people started realizing that they needed to spend more time on this to figure it out.
Including us.
Including us. Yes,
Yeah.
absolutely. Absolutely.
Because I remember you guys spent a couple of months even, it seemed like just rejiggering back end stuff so that if nothing else, when it went down, we would have a way to get the data off so we could re-spin it up someplace else.
Right. Our problem last time was that EBS, the network attached storage service.
Yeah.
That was the big problem. Essentially, it was a internal error on their part where think of EBS as like this huge bank of hard drives, and the partitions that you allocate are all mirrored for redundancy. So if any single hard drive fails, no one's data should be lost.
Okay. Seems like a good idea.
Right. The problem happened though. They had some failure, and the EBS backbone started seeing these failures and immediately started replicating all of the data on the drives that it assumed were failing, and that created such an enormous amount of bandwidth consumption that the monitoring service got false positives that other drives were then failing because they were being starved for bandwidth, and then so it queued those for replication as well, and it just spiraled out of control.
So it was a cascading replication failure.
Exactly.
It seems, I heard that on Star Trek once. It's what happens when you plug the positive coupler into the negative coupler. The whole thing just blows up.
Yeah, and so the reason that it was down for like 3 days was because they couldn't interrupt that process. It was designed to.
So they just keep feeding hard drives into it?
Yeah, exactly. They
shit.
just kept plugging more and more and more hard drives in. The whole system was working as intended, in that it was in fact mirroring data and kind of self-recovering. It was just using too much of the pipe to make it.
So that's why
useful.
stuff kind of came up a little bit at a time.
Exactly.
And like some of our sites were up later than others because we had to wait until the replication for our drives was fixed.
Exactly. And so
Wow.
what we learned by that is, okay, we can't rely on a single service to store our data in.
Mm-hmm.
We had backups there. We had obviously the live data there. And even all of our instances, the boot partitions were backed by EBS. And so literally everything that we had was on this like one thing. And if that failed, we were kind of hosed.
That was bad.
Yeah.
So then you move stuff? So I know now you like dump stuff out to S3 sometimes.
We do. So
things like
backups
that.
now are on S3. We have we have these replicated boxes that use ephemeral drives for storage. So the actual hard drive that's in the physical server. So yes, of course, it's not replicated or mirrored, and there's no redundancy there. But we have multiple copies of the data anyway, so we don't really care. We just want it on multiple different mediums.
It's just another copy.
Exactly. In order to, it's in the event that like one of those is down, it's super unlikely that 3 different things are down at the same time.
Makes sense.
Yeah. So a lot of it was just, rethinking about how we architected those pieces and made them a little more rigid or a little less rigid.
Cool.
Yeah.
What else was there more tech stuff that we didn't get to, Norm?
Nope.
That's it. Should we bump over to what we've been testing?
Sure.
Let me cue up the music then. I'm on a different computer here. This is a brand new way to run the podcast. So let's talk about what we've been testing. Hey, Norm.
Hey,
What have you been testing?
this laptop right here to my right is the MacBook Pro, Retina MacBook Pro. And I know, Andy, you actually bought one for yourself.
I did.
You became early adopter. You said, I like the look of that screen.
I don't care if
like
it's
the
a
cut of that
if the
jib.
first run is shit. I'm going to buy it right now anyway.
Yeah. Well, you also have to realize I was using a now 5-year-old MacBook Pro.
Peasant.
Yeah, so it was on its last legs. I didn't even have an SSD in it.
It was
so.
the kind. It didn't even have chiclet keyboards.
No, it was the old gray keyboard.
It's pretty old.
Yeah.
I don't remember. Before using this, I don't remember what it was to use a MacBook Pro because I had
You've
a
been on
15-inch.
an Air.
I've been on Air for a year, but even I guess before that, I was on my old 15-inch MacBook Pro Core 2 Duo, and that was fine. And this, I guess, is 2 generations after. That was even before Unibody. Oh boy, that screen is nice, but that software just isn't ready yet for this screen.
Yeah, there's a lot of holes. I mean, Chrome, something I use every day.
Now you use Safari instead.
Well, I'm actually still using Chrome.
Oh, yeah?
I don't find Safari usable enough to actually.
Well, the new Safari isn't out yet with the unified bar. I can't go back to a 2 separate bars.
Yeah, the 2 bars is a deal breaker at this point.
Yeah.
So what resolution do you run your Retina MacBook Pro at?
Just the native best for Retina.
Best for
display.
Retina, so it simulates 1440 by 900, but
But it's actually rendering at 2880 by.
and then
yeah.
kind of scales down.
Yeah.
I do not like that at all.
Oh yeah, what do you
all.
run at?
Well, no, that is what I'm running at.
Oh, okay.
But I don't like it because, for example, when I open Tested, right, and on my 30-inch monitor, I can a full window where I can see, because we have the fancy HTML site. Well, what's it called?
Or something reactive, reactionary,
responsive.
Responsive
Thank you.
HTML, where as you scale out and scale in the width of the page, it'll reflow the page for your ideal size. So that's why on phones, for example, when it sees, I guess Apple phones are a bad example, but
because it reports the half resolution size.
Same thing. It's the same thing. The pixel doubling is the same as on this new line as it is on iOS, where it thinks, for example, on the phone, it thinks it's 320 pixels wide.
Yeah.
And so you're only going to see a single column for our site. And for the new MacBook with Retina, if I expect there being 2800 pixels on one side, that I can have a window take up only half the size of the screen and I still get the full width. But no, it still thinks it's small.
Yes.
Yeah. You and I didn't talk about this at all because I used it for 4 days, I think, before I handed it off to you. And I had a lot of those. I had the same problem, like that, the fuzziness in Chrome and pretty much everything that isn't Aperture, Final Cut Pro 10, a couple of text editors. I think Sparrow's been updated now. Like there's apps are starting to be updated, but really early on with that laptop, it was rough.
Yeah,
like
definitely.
Because you have this crazy resolution on the screen, but apps are literally scaling everything up and then shrinking it back down again, and everything looks like shit.
Yep.
Pretty much.
Yeah. And then if you want to run, I mean, you don't have to run it that way. You can run at the simulated 1920 by 1080.
But then it's doing some weird scaling.
Well, at which point it does double render again. So double renders at larger than the 2880 by 1800 and then scales back to a simulated 1920 by 1080. And then there's dithering.
Yeah.
And as sharp of a screen as this is, I've played enough games that I can tell aliasing. And in this case, you want to see, like if you squint, you kind of want to see the aliasing because then you know it's rendering at native resolution, or at least a even multiplier.
I found it really weird. It's also weird to me that in an upcoming version of Mac OS that I shouldn't talk about, they have replaced that best for this display. That's the new default label for resolutions. They don't show resolution now anymore.
So it's dumbed down for even
for non-retinas. Yeah. Like in the Air, it says, not that I would be talking about that right now. It says best for built-in display.
Now, can you scale up above that, above native?
No, you can only go to native.
Okay, so native, best for native display, which is their term for native, I guess.
Yeah.
For non-retina displays where they don't double and then scale back down, it's just the maximum.
The weird thing to me about that is that the pixel doubling works really well on the iPhone because it's a very small screen, and I would never want to run this at the actual resolution, or text would be unreadable.
Yeah.
On that, I do actually want to run it at the native. Like I would. Pixel doubled is too, like the 2880 by 1440 is way too high a resolution to actually use on that screen. But the way they handle the interim resolutions, like ideally it would be 1920 by 1080, and
there is no ideal.
Well, what
ideal I think would be
ideally for me,
okay,
for my vision and my eyes and the way I use a computer, I would like to have a crazy high resolution screen on that.
So the desktop actually is 2080 by 1800.
Yeah,
and then web browsers and software is smart enough so they scale up.
Text
designers
size.
will scale up icons, and text will scale up properly because text, it's all vector based.
Well, so Windows you can do this. Windows you can just change the DPI setting and it scales up UI elements and window Chrome and text. And there's some places where it's janky where people didn't build their applications right, but for the most part it works. And the way they handle it on OS X is, I think, vastly inferior. I want to put the as yet undiscussed previous next version of OS X on there and see how it handles it, because my hunch is that they changed the way it renders for that, but not in line. Anyway,
yeah. The other thing to keep in mind is that Apple, being as close guarded as they are, probably didn't give preview units or anything.
Oh no,
no. Really, anyone, right? Yeah. So everyone's like, oh shit, now I have to go redo all of my app to
redesign all their Chrome
exactly to work on this and. We saw the same thing with the iPhone when they launched the 4. So
that's a very valid point. I think that we talked about this a little bit last week, but I think what's going to happen is, as by this time next year, incompatibility with Retina display will be something that nobody even thinks about anymore, because people will just use the right version of the Xcode of Xcode, compile stuff right, go ahead and build their assets at the resolution to support that, and everything else will scale down gracefully.
The problem that we might see, though, is that because there's only one laptop version at this point that has this Retina display, and being that it's at a super high price point, the adoption rate may actually affect how quickly developers go and retool their
I think
software.
here, though, we're going to see every Apple display. I mean, have a similar DPI.
This will run out to all the displays, I think, by this time next year, probably.
Yeah, probably. I just think that with the phone, it's like, okay, well, the only new phone that you can buy at this point has this, and so there's it's a much easier to sell to a developer to go and redo their apps. Whereas right now it's like, oh well, maybe only 100,000 of them
absolutely,
sold,
you're absolutely
something
correct.
like that.
Yeah. I think it really depends on how forward-looking the developer is, and you see the people that are the kind of premier small app developers, like the Sparrow guys, and
Sure,
the
sure.
Tapbots and all those Marco Arments and all those people will do it. I mean, obviously, Tapbots and Marco Arment don't build apps for Mac, but you get the idea. Some people will do it, other people will lag behind. It seems like games work reasonably well. I played Diablo on it. Did you get StarCraft loaded yet, Norm?
StarCraft is awesome on this laptop.
And you can
But this
play it
one has
native?
discrete graphics.
Yeah.
Cannot play it native with the maxed out graphics in multiplayer. But
could you play multiplayer?
You could play multiplayer, yeah. Especially if you split it 1440 by 900.
Yeah.
StarCraft is
Which
fine.
is a reasonable resolution for that size screen.
Yes, and also it gets very hot.
Yeah.
This laptop gets very hot.
Well,
But you know what? One of my great discoveries with it is that I can actually watch videos in Flash at this point.
Yeah.
And not have it sound like a jet engine was taking off.
Well, so even on the new Air, I couldn't get it to turn the fan on until I started playing games.
Yeah.
Like I had to fire up Team Fortress, even Diablo. I can't remember if Diablo did or not, but Team Fortress, the fan spun up almost immediately. I hadn't heard it until I started playing games on it.
Yeah, the only time that I've heard the fan in the Retina display MacBook is playing Diablo. Yep.
And it works pretty well.
I was surprised.
I was playing like Hell Act 1 and had no problems with a mouse. Obviously, trackpad was terrible.
Right. I even have I've tried playing on my external monitor, which is a 27-inch, 25, 60
Thunderbolt display. Oh no, you got the HP.
I got the HP one, and it plays fine at that resolution as well. So
there you go.
I'm super happy with it. It's not going to replace my gaming PC, but it is a huge productivity increase.
I'm sure
for my work box.
Norm, anything else to add on that before we roll on?
In addition to this laptop, I was over at a friend's place yesterday, and I saw the new Origin 11-inch gaming laptop.
The BFG Origin?
No. Origin is the people who.
Oh, right. Used to be Alienware. Yeah.
And they split off, and they're one of the few people doing dedicated gaming PCs now. And Alienware had the M11X, which a lot of people loved as a portable gaming laptop. Had discrete graphics.
It was like an i5 or something, i3.
It was a. I don't think it even made. I think
was it Core 2? Was it Core 2 Quad?
There was a Core 2 Duo version, and there was a standard version. It is discontinued. They don't no longer make the M11X. One of our friends, Nathan Grayson, loves it. You can take it to LAN parties. You can actually do
It's a real computer.
It's a real computer.
With
You can
a small
do Call
screen.
of Duty on it. You wouldn't call it an Ultrabook because it's definitely heavier and thicker than an Ultrabook, and it's 11-inch screen, so it's like the MacBook Air, but add a little heft in the bottom, bigger battery, and
The thing about it was you could play anything you wanted at the resolution of the panel, pretty much.
well, not just the resolution of the panel, but the whole point of these machines, and now Origin has one. I think it's called the Eon. Is that you plug in HDMI and you can plug it into a 1080p screen and then actually run games 1080p.
Yeah.
And so I was playing Max Payne, maxed out graphics,
Wow.
HDMI, Ivy Bridge system, HDMI from this 11-inch laptop to
How much was the Origin machine?
$1,000.
Oh, that's a good. That's a
that's not bad
fantastic
at all.
price. It's
$1,000, and you get between 27 and 40 FPS maxed out on 1080p.
Was it native graphics?
Native graphics.
Wow,
Native
really?
Yeah. Or not? No, not Intel 4000.
Oh, okay.
Running discrete.
Okay.
Had NVIDIA graphics inside, but also does have
Obviously.
the Intel 4000.
Huh. Yeah, I've been impressed with the Intel graphics in the Air, the 13-inch Air. I can't imagine actually playing Max Payne or something like that. There's no way it could handle that. But Team Fortress and kind of Diablo and StarCraft and that kind of stuff seem fine.
I think a lot of people, I mean, if you're a road warrior, business guy, MacBook Air, it's very attractive. If you just have $1,000 to spend and you are in school and you also want to play games,
Yeah.
and you have a 24-inch monitor, 1080p monitor, which is
Even a
dirt
22-inch
cheap.
monitor.
22-inch monitor, 24-inch 1080p, cheap. These are like $200, $250 for a 24-inch monitor. Spending $1,000 on one of these gaming PCs
Beats the shit out of a MacBook Air.
beats the shit out of the MacBook Air, and you get to still take it to class, and it's not 5 pounds. It's
Yeah.
like, 3.5 pounds or so. Something
Yeah.
like that.
Cool. Let's see. I just spent time yesterday with the Elgato Game Capture HD, which is a USB 2 HDMI console grabber,
So
basically.
does this bypass HDCP or
No, it doesn't. So you
Okay.
use HDMI on Xbox, and it has component inputs for PS3. And it does H.264 on the box, kind of light H.264 encoding.
and a USB 2?
USB 2 to the box to the computer, and then you run a piece of software on the machine. And basically, the way it works is kind of neat. All you do to record what you want is you start the app running when you start playing the game. Then there's a pass through for the HDMI. So HDMI goes into the Elgato box and then out to your TV, and the pass through is lag free. It just passes audio and everything out to your TV, just like normal.
Wait, so it goes game console, for example, let's
Yeah.
say Xbox.
Xbox.
It's digital
Yes.
HDMI. Xbox HDMI cable to the Elgato.
Yep.
Elgato pass through HDMI to the TV.
Yeah.
Encodes whatever video 720p video
And
goes
audio.
through and
Yeah.
audio, and then from the Elgato USB to your PC, do you get a live view on your PC of what you're capturing?
No, you get a laggy view on your PC.
But you do get screen.
You,
Like some
you
type
get
of
a.
screen image.
It's usually it ranges depending on what resolution you're capturing and how fast your machine is and all that stuff.
Yes.
It ranged between like three to 5 seconds behind and maybe 20 seconds behind.
Oh, so but it's actually like 30 FPS.
It's low frame rate.
Low
it's
frame rate
lower
and-
frame rate
Okay.
and behind.
What's the max FPS and resolution that it captures at?
It captures at the highest resolution of the consoles. It captured 1080p if you hook an iPad up to it.
Okay.
But yeah,
You can hook an iPad up
I
to
think
it?
you're supposed to hook an Apple TV up to an AirPlay to the Apple TV. But
Okay.
yeah.
That's convenient.
I didn't try the iPad because I found this out this weekend too. The HDMI adapter doesn't work with the third gen iPad.
Really?
It says this accessory is not supported.
So don't buy the HDMI
Don't
adapter.
buy I don't think they even sell it in the
the
stores
30
anymore.
pin to HDMI. Don't
Yeah.
buy that. Just they want you to use AirPlay.
They want you to use AirPlay.
That makes sense.
Kind of, except for now we have
Except
$300 worth of those adapters laying around the office.
Well,
that are
also
gonna be
you're
useless
also
now.
relying on your local Wi-Fi network, and
Right.
some houses, their TV rooms, living rooms aren't
Yeah.
in good range of Wi-Fi.
Yeah. So yeah, it was interesting. The performance on that was so I tried to use it for live. I tested it just recording before. The neat thing about it is it saves a buffer like TiVo. So when you're recording, it'll just keep using hard drive space to save your entire
You're
session.
talking about the app on your
on
PC.
the app on the PC.
Is it PC and Mac or just PC?
PC and Mac. I didn't try the Mac app yet.
Okay.
If you do something you want to capture, you don't even have to go in at the time. You just come back to that session and you can roll back through the entire play session and just record the stuff that you want. So like
What's the buffer? How big is the buffer?
it buffers to hard drive.
so it just starts to.
So yeah, you put it on a 1 terabyte drive and you have 200 hours of space basically. I think it's about a gig an hour is the default for 720p video, which is what, since Xbox renders at 720p generally, that's what I was using. So like I was playing Spelunky.
Xbox renders and then scales up to 720p.
Depends on the game.
Yeah.
The max Xbox typically renders
Yes.
is 720p. I was playing Spelunky, which is like a 2D kind of roguelike platformer thing. And it's the kind of game that you definitely don't want to show every single run. But on those occasions you do have a good run, it would be really cool to be able to post that to YouTube. It's perfect for that. Because you can just leave it running in the background and then mash the button when you do something awesome and go back and record it, even as a crappy editor. But you can import your movies into iMovie or Windows Movie Maker or whatever.
So when you clip
some
out
Vegas.
like your good run, a 5-minute clip or something, or
Yeah.
an hour clip
Whatever.
from that buffer, how long does it take to export and save?
It seems instant. Like it's basically like a file.
Right.
File. It's like there's no encoding or anything like
And
that.
that's your full 720p.
And that's
30
your
FPS.
720p. Well, it seems like there's a hardware encoder on the box. Otherwise, it wouldn't be able to do the HDMI pass through for the PS3.
Can you do live streaming like out to Justin TV?
So this is the thing you can't do.
Oh.
At least not right now. So I tried it with XSplit, which is kind of what everybody uses for live streaming stuff on the internet these days.
Screen capture.
But you can do it it works kind of like Fraps used to, but for live streaming
Right.
on PC games. You can also use it to capture camera sources and things like that. So if you have a capture device that shows up as a camera does, like the Hauppauge HD PVR, then you can just connect directly to that and live stream that out. Obviously that doesn't work for this because of the lag on the Elgato doesn't show up as a camera. And the only way that you can access that stream is by kind of screen capturing a section of the screen.
Oh yeah.
And doing the preview. So there was always, basically if I was just trying to stream the video and not be able to talk to people at the same time, it would be fine maybe, or okay. But if you wanted to have video, voice, and audio synced up, it didn't work for
It's
that.
like double the compression.
Well, it's more because of the compression lag between the Elgato and the PC than
app.
anything else. Yeah. I mean, there's pretty strong chance, given the number of those things that they're selling, that the XSplit guys will actually actively support it, which would change that some. But for now, if you want to stream console games, it seems like the way to do that is the HD PVR, the Hopog HD PVR, which is I think $200. So we reviewed that or a quick look at that last year or the year before. I'm gonna grab, if it's here. I don't know if it's in one of the boxes. It's here. I was gonna grab it and try that with XSplit tonight, so I can do a how-to. So yeah, that's what I did. I did that yesterday. It was entertaining
cool.
and fun. And Spelunky is pretty rad if you like brutally difficult games that are all about mechanics and not about memorizing levels and shit like that. It's pretty rad.
So not Super Meat Boy.
It's kind of like Super Meat Boy, except for the levels are random. Like it's the same. It scratches the same itch for me as Super Meat Boy.
Okay.
In that, you know how when you play Super Meat Boy and you die, you never feel like the game fucked you.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's the same thing.
It always makes you feel like
I know that I made
Yeah.
a mistake.
Yeah.
Like that's why I died. I failed. So yeah, I've been enjoying that. It's quite good. And it generates, the levels are random. So once you're good at the mechanics and learn what to watch for,
Sounds like an abusive relationship.
it is kind of an abusive relationship.
It's your fault.
I think Brad's really
game's
into
fault.
it, if I had to guess.
I deserve that.
Yeah, I was asking for it.
Yeah.
Wow, this podcast is not for kids. Anything else, Norm?
No, that's it. Yeah. Good barbecue.
Yeah, did you grill out yesterday?
Didn't grill out yesterday.
I cooked some steaks, made some kebabs.
Sorry.
Watched the Pacific fireworks. We'll talk about that in the outtakes. I've got a couple questions for us though.
Emails?
Well, but we do the other one.
Emails.
'Cause it's, we don't do emails. We do
Emails?
No.
Questions?
Boom. If you have a question for This Is Only Test, the email address is podcast@tested.com. Keep it short, under 45 seconds. Don't let your dog, don't make it sound like you're driving underneath a car while you're recording. Listen to the question and see if it sounds like the podcast, not like that one Norm and Gary did a couple of weeks ago, but real podcasts.
Real podcast.
Here
People
is
enjoyed that.
Here is our first question.
Greetings, Tested Crew. I'm Andrew from Greenville, Pennsylvania, which, for a bit of trivia, has a tendency to catch on fire. All of the buildings on Main Street burned down twice before they decided to switch from wooden buildings to stone masonry. My question is, I'm in the market for a new gaming PC soon, and with Unreal Engine 4 and seemingly next-gen games being shown off at E3, I was wondering if the jump to the next console generation will be worth waiting for before upgrading, or if in your experience hardware capabilities and requirements continue to rise at the same steady pace across console generation gaps with whatever new graphics card or versions of DirectX that are released. Lastly, would you rather hate everything that is objectively good, or love everything that is objectively bad? In either case, you compulsively feel the need to share your opinions with as many people as possible. Thank you for your time, and always be testing.
Sounds like you do that already.
What, hate everything I should impulsively love? Yeah, I kind of feel like I'm there.
And desire to share opinions.
Well, we
Regardless
definitely
of-
share opinions. Maybe not
regardless of whether
Andy.
people listen or
Don't
not.
rope Andy into this.
So, gaming PCs, video cards, and next-gen consoles.
Here's the thing. Almost certainly going to be next gen consoles in 2013. That is at this point, say 18 months away, maybe 16 months away if they come out in August or October. I don't think that there's any reason to wait for that to buy a next gaming PC now. I think right now, if you buy a gaming PC, you can get an incredible amount of use out of it through the first year or more of that console lifespan. It may even last you through the first price drop, if there's no good console exclusives at launch that you absolutely have to play.
Yeah, and there are very few developers who get preview access to actually develop for
Yeah.
that new console. And given that game development cycles at this point are 2 years,
Unless you're Activision.
unless you're Activision, and then you're failing at everything. But
Okay. Andy McCurdy, ladies and gentlemen.
Don't feel like you have to buy, spend $400 or $500 on a video card. Spend $350 on a video card, get a GTX 670, and then
Spend another
and then
$350 in
spend
2 or
another
3 years.
In 2 or 3 years,
Yeah.
and upgrade and sell that card for $100.
yep, I actually just went out and bought a 680.
Fool.
Unnecessary.
I know. I did.
Unnecessary.
Well, you have a big
I know,
monitor, though,
but
too.
I love it.
Are
Yeah,
you running
it
multiple
is.
monitors?
No, just one.
And how big is the monitor?
27.
And that's at
So it's a
2560 by
2560,
1440.
Yeah. I'm sure I could have gotten away.
You could have gotten away with the 670, but I'm sure you
You can
love
turn
the
on
extra
AA and
10
stuff.
10
Yeah, and the
FPS.
thing is, I'm one of those people that typically does not upgrade every year or two. I like to get my value out of the card, and so I will milk it for everything that it is worth. And I'm excited because this is the first top of the line video card that I've ever purchased for
It's
myself.
a good one to buy too if you're going to do a top line one.
Yeah,
680
it's
is a
awesome.
great card.
It's awesome.
It's the first NVIDIA card that's at up to 4 3D accelerated screens at once if you wanted to add more screens on there.
And if you have games that will support
if you have
that.
games that will split that many screens. The good thing about this being the end of the current console generation is that you can get away with not top of the line card.
Yep.
And still run everything at 1080 with that will look much better than on the console. Because the console hardware is running on 4 generations old,
5
PC
generations in some
hardware.
case, yeah. I mean, and the difference this time is that previously people were in kind of an arms race with PC games. Like if you look at the time around Crisis launch, which was I think around the last console generation, wasn't it?
It's DX10.
It was 2 years
8800.
into 2 years into the 360 life probably. Like the PC developers were trying to make games that would destroy your system because they thought it was kind of cool and badass, and then it turns out that nobody buys those games because they didn't think their machines would run them, and it was an abysmal, horrible failure for them. So now people are making PC games, are making things that will run. Like if you look at Diablo 3, that is a game that will run on pretty much any computer that runs Windows 7 today.
Yep.
Even if you look at stuff like Max Payne, that game runs really well on very modest hardware by today's PC gaming standards, or at least so I've been told.
And then a bunch of the games that were showed at E3 that are clearly for next gen console games, like the Star Wars game and also the Watch Dogs game.
Yeah.
I mean, you can't expect to buy a PC now today and be able to run those games at max next year because even though they're being developed on PC, they're all running SLI or Crossfire, multiple GPUs.
Yeah.
Yep.
One more question. Here we go.
Hi, Will, Norm, Gary, and to a greater extent, Chloe. This is Malcolm from Pendine, South Wales, United Kingdom. Home Village Trivia. Pendine has a NATO European Regional Test Centre for Munitions Engineering, which houses the best science equipment of them all. A rocket test track. My question is, having started a job working from home, I'm finding it hard to focus on my work due to the home distractions and the abundance of the internet. As people that also work from home, I have to ask, how you manage it? I'll spare you the would you rather because that would be quite disgusting. Thank you, and always be testing.
That was a very well produced question.
Mm-hmm.
A delightful accent.
Well, it no longer applies to us because we're no longer working.
Well,
from
I
home.
don't think we can consider this fully fledged office yet.
Yeah,
We
we're not
have some
there
work
quite
to
yet.
do. How do you deal with distractions at home, Andy?
The distractions on the internet are abundant.
That they are. Full screen mode in an OS X is I think.
OS 10, you mean?
Yes. Thank you.
Just checking.
It is a nice added benefit.
Hold on, have you come around to Lion? You didn't like Lion at first.
I still have some issues with Lion, but I got it.
You don't have a choice.
Yeah, I got it with the Retina.
Okay.
And so didn't really have an option.
You can't roll
Downgrade.
back. Yeah. They don't let you do that.
Right.
I really, especially on the laptop, full screen mode is badass.
Yeah.
Like open up a text editor, just make it full screen and just go nuts. And then when I'm done, I close it and move back to what I was doing.
So distraction free, I don't want my Twitter on. I have to have IM on just because that's kind of our way of communicating to each other.
But do you leave like notifications and stuff on? Does it beep? Or does it just flash in the
no
dock?
sound? It just flashes in the dock.
Yeah.
And so it's enough of a if I start seeing like 10 messages, I know something is wrong and I should probably like check it. If it's only one message, I'll be like,
It's just Will. Fuck him.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
He doesn't have anything important to say.
Spaces is very.
Spaces are
You use spaces, and then you like mentally have a barrier. The last space is your distraction space.
Is your
You're not-
guilt
and You're
space,
not
yeah.
allowed to visit that space.
Yeah.
And the good thing it doesn't loop around too. So if you start
you can't
scrolling
roll.
scrolling to the right, and you start hitting the end space. Oh no, getting too close to the distracting
Right.
space.
The biggest thing for me, and this is an old life hacker trip that Gina Trapani wrote about years ago, and I kind of updated it and rewrote it for this PC World thing the other day. But yeah, I basically schedule the fucking around, like the distraction periods.
Mm-hmm.
So like if I need to write a story, then I block an hour and a half or 2 hours for it in the morning. And then at the end of that time, I'll say, okay, here's 30 minutes to go through emails, answer IMs, fuck around on IRC, answer Twitter messages, whatever it is that I need to do. And then at the end of that 30 minutes, either I get done early and go make a snack or get a drink or something, or I just go back to work at the end of that time. And to enforce that, I turn off all notifications. So I like do the bouncing dock icon for IM because you and I are in similar boats there. But my email doesn't chime or bounce. Like there's no notifications for anything, no Twitter message notifications, no email notifications, no. I do calendar notifications for fairly obvious reasons. But yeah, basically the first thing I do is turn off all the notifications except for the one little bouncing IM note. And that has been the thing that made me a productive human being 5 or 10 years ago now, when I used to be super distracted all the time.
The other thing that I find works surprisingly well for me is going to a coffee shop and plugging in there somewhere outside of the home that still has reasonably good access to the internet. I find that I'm rather productive there. So I'll walk over to Starbucks or something and just kind of leech off their.
It's like a proxy for the airplane.
Yeah,
like in the old days before you couldn't get internet on the airplane, I used to do some of my best writing ever on the airplane. Because like, what else are you gonna do? You just sit there cramped in. Chumps sleep on airplanes.
Sleep.
But now you have internet on airplanes, and that changes the whole dynamic.
When I'm in Starbucks, I put on headphones, but I don't play music.
Really?
Oh, just
I cannot listen to music.
Sound dampening.
Just sound dampening.
Yep.
Yeah.
See, I do instrumental stuff. I listen to a lot of soundtracks and stuff like Fez and Journey and all and Indie Game the movie and all those I've been listening to lately.
Yeah.
I need the sensory deprivation tube.
So that'll do it for us for questions this week. If you have a question, it's podcast@tested.com, and keep it short, keep it legible, audible, whatever. I'm going to play the outro music, and then we'll do some fake outtakes. Anybody have anything to plug this week? Andy, you got any appearances or any Titan Quest or anything like that?
No.
And Norm, anything?
Titan Quest.
Comic-Con, that was a great game. Fantastic game.
I'm looking forward to decorating this office.
Yeah.
I bring in all my extra stuff that I don't have space for at home, and I need to move out.
We got to figure out where the Lego shelf is going to be. Yeah. So that'll do it for us this week. We're back every Thursday, although maybe not next Thursday. I don't know. We'll figure it out sometime between now and then. But always be testing, and we will see you guys next Thursday. Today's outro is brought to you by KJN again. Bye. Hi there. I didn't see you. Tested.
Just put your fingers in the smashy place.
We're almost out of those again. We're running real low.
Say more stupid
outros.
shit.
Yeah, we need more stupid edits of stupid shit we've said.
Once we get this the studio set up here, we'll be doing App of the Days again, and that's where all the gold comes from.
That was the gold.
App of the Days. Really tired App of the Days.
I have 4 months worth of saved apps I've been buying and thinking, oh, we need to do this. Oh, we need to do this.
Do a marathon.
We could do an all-day marathon of app.
A big live.
No.
Day?
That we don't own the rights to big live anymore.
What about live big?
We could do live big.
Yeah.
Definitely do live big.
Yeah.
So yeah, we're in the new office. We were going to talk about something a little while ago, and I said no, save that for fake outtakes, and now I don't remember what it was. Do you remember?
Nope.
Oh well. Yeah, we're in the new office. It's beige. It's real beige in here.
I don't think the color is beige.
It's kind of pinky beige.
It's a little pink. It's like
pinky brown.
Oh gosh.
I think it was supposed to be brown, and it turned out pink when it dried. Would be my guess.
It's like skin colored. It's definitely skin colored.
I don't know what we're gonna do with these fucking holes in the wall. Like we're gonna have to build some fake backdrops for this.
Those are windows. The stained glass window space.
But we don't want those behind us when we're shooting.
Well, I don't know.
They said that we could punch them out and we could just hang pictures over them.
Oh, we could just hang pictures over them.
Yeah.
It's not a bad idea. That's thinking outside the box.
It's a secret. It's a little safe.
Yeah, exactly.
It's a medicine cabinet.
Yeah, exactly. That's where we hide our things. Yeah. So it's a room filled with opportunity and sweat. It's real hot in here right now.
It is.
It's
We
kind of
need to
actually
get this
cool
air
down.
conditioner working.
No, the air conditioner's off. The window open helped a little bit.
Oh yeah, it's definitely. It's not as hot.
I felt
as,
the breeze from
exactly.
the street. Yeah.
See, I'm not getting that back here in the corner. I made a mistake. I chose the bad seat. But yeah, it kind of reminds me of the old office in the sweatshop, the sweaty podcast room in there.
Cracked my iPhone screen.
Oh, how'd you do that, Norm?
It fell out of my pocket.
It's too
top
tight
corner.
jeans.
Yep.
And you had the case
jeans-
on it and everything.
The jeans were not tight enough. The front top corner cracked. Did not crack the LCD. So I think I'm just gonna leave it and embrace.
Did you not
embrace imperfection?
Did you not get super duper Apple Care last time?
Nope. Why would I pay? Because you still have to pay $99 to get a new phone.
Oh, fuck that.
Yeah, I know a guy who can replace the front for $50, but even then, I think it's end of life anyway.
You think you're just apply that $50? You mean your 9-month-old phone is end of life?
Yeah,
just to be
exactly,
clear with what you're saying.
Yeah.
First world, 1% norm. Did the back crack too?
No, back is fine.
Okay.
That would be really sad if I didn't realize the back had cracked.
And then it all just exploded out.
And
That'd
yeah,
been awesome.
that'd be really sad.
Sad
I got my
and
TV
awesome.
fixed as well. My Samsung TV broke
Yeah,
last week.
that was a
And,
surprise.
Yes.
Yeah, my Panasonic TV hasn't broken at all.
Yeah, it was really cool. The technician came and he took off the back of the TV, and aside from panel, there were a bunch of control boards, and it's not nearly as densely packed as a PC, obviously.
Yeah.
But there are some basic things here.
Hey guys, an airplane.
Oh,
We might have to insulate these skylights. They might not be openable.
and there are some blinking lights that are supposed to blink every 10 seconds or so. And that indicates everything's working properly. And there's a lot of ribbon cables. Let's just take apart. You just pull out ribbon cables from every different control board, and then you run the test again to see which control board is the one that's sending the bad signal. And once you realize it was the Y main and the Y buffer, upper and lower, you took out those 3 boards, replaced it, and everything worked fine.
What does Y stand for?
I don't know what the Y stands for, actually.
It's a great story.
Signal.
So is this like a Samsung technician who came out or an authorized?
Authorized Samsung. They're a local warranty repair guy.
Okay.
Yeah.
Gotcha.
He was wearing a Samsung shirt, though.
You know, it's surprising.
Was it a golf shirt?
Yes, it was a golf shirt.
With the TV repair business is something that I remember as a kid. Our living room set blue or whatever.
Yeah.
But now I feel that we live in a much more
Throwaway.
throwaway. Just
That's terrible.
Go to Best Buy, buy a new TV.
No, don't buy a new one.
No,
Well, it
I know,
depends.
but I feel that that's what a lot of people do now, and so I'm actually surprised that there still are TV repairmen.
Oh yeah. I mean, they have contracts with the OEMs to
guess
to
for
fulfill
warranty work.
warranty.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But also, it just makes more sense. I mean, you can go on eBay, and if I know, kind of like he kind of walked me through. This is the blinking light, and I watched him do the test. There wasn't no fancy equipment. It was just
Did he unplug it and plug it each time?
unplug the ribbon cables from one side and then try it, and then the lights start blinking, and then unplug a different side. Oh, it's on this side, and the part numbers are all there. You can eBay, and I could find those parts. And if you have a Phillips head screwdriver, you can easily replace it yourself. It'll take 20 minutes, and just plug in the ribbon cables again.
Did you look at how much the
man.
parts
I
actually
did
were?
not. I did not check.
That would be interesting information.
Yeah, I
$1 million.
I
So
mean-
did this cost you anything? Were you out nothing?
Out nothing.
Nice.
Out nothing. Just
That's good. That's
Thanks,
really good.
warranty.
yeah, exactly.
Um,
Pro tip: register your products. Get 6 months additional warranty in some places.
Interesting.
Yeah.
Let's see what else. What else has been going on? I have Huey and Chloe at my house right now. Huey is Gary and Leah's dog. After the birth of their child, they didn't want to have to watch the dog since they were going to be in the hospital for a little longer than intended, and they're derping around the house. Derp, derp, derp.
Titan's out of his sling.
Oh,
now.
really?
Yeah.
Titan is your dog.
Titan is my dog,
Longtime
yes.
whiskey fans.
Yeah,
will
they,
know
they
Titan.
know they know Titan from the old Sausalito office.
Yeah.
Titan tore his ACL in his back right.
Was he
leg.
playing basketball? That's how
no-
people usually tear their
No,
ACLs.
I think he was trying to hump the neighbor's dog.
Oh, nice.
Yeah,
Did he succeed or not so much?
for a little while. Yeah,
Okay.
and
He is kind of a humper.
Yes, he is. And so he had surgery basically to repair that.
Wow.
And it's a 16-week recovery process. He's 3 weeks into it now.
So you can now, like before you had to carry it when he went outside, you had to hold up his ass end or wherever the bad knee is.
Yeah, it's the back one. So it's the first couple days were rough. I was carrying him up and down the stairs. I live in a 3-story townhouse.
and the living area is the third floor.
Yeah, my office in the living room is on the 3rd floor. So it was a pain in the ass to get him up and down the stairs.
How many times a day does he poop usually?
It's funny. He reduced the number of times that he goes after this procedure because he didn't want to walk up and down the stairs.
Oh, poor Titan.
So for a while, for the first couple weeks, he was going maybe 3 times a day.
Wow.
It's a big dog. Go 3 times a day.
Yeah, and now he's back up to
He
maybe
weighs like 90 pounds, dude.
4 or 5. He's 80. Yeah.
80.
Yeah.
You didn't look
Big
like a dude that
dog.
could carry an 80-pound dog up 3 flights of stairs, but I'm impressed.
It's rough. It's rough. And then, he was in the sling. Basically, it goes around his belly, and then it has 2 loops that you can hold on to.
Like a shopping bag.
Exactly. And so, we were taking a lot of the weight off of him going up the stairs. He still did some of it, but the vet specifically wants him to use the leg. It's not in a cast or anything. It's
Yeah.
just kind of open.
But not too much, right?
Right, exactly. So for the first week, he was allowed to kind of be on 5-minute outside times on leash only.
And of course, since he's a dog, he doesn't understand this at all.
Exactly. And so we have him on sedation, on medication to sedate him, which, isn't very fun, but it's more fun than having to go back to the vet.
Well, and having him crazy, yeah. I mean, the thing is, if like my parents' dog had a knee problem 4 years ago, and they had the same 12 or 16 week thing. But I mean, of course, this is a little corgi, so it's a little bit different story. But now he's normal. Like he can run and have fun and frolic in the grass and all the stuff that dogs are supposed to do. So
yeah, that's what we're hoping for.
Well, fingers crossed, man.
Yeah, definitely.
Give Titan a hug.
Will do.
Anything else, Storm?
Nope.
I started watching Veep.
Season's over, so now it's a good time to watch.
I've gone through the whole thing. There's only 6 episodes or something, but that is a fantastic show.
Did you watch In the Loop?
I have.
You have to watch In the Loop.
I had to do some. Oh no, I'm watching The Thick of It.
Oh,
is
I'm
the other
sorry.
one.
In the Loop and The Thick of It, both of those.
Okay.
Yeah.
Which should I watch? I have The Thick of It, but I don't have
Watch
In
The
the
Thick
Loop.
of It, and then In the Loop is the movie.
Okay.
And then watch In the Loop if you just you don't want to get through all the thick of it.
There's not that much
stop
Thick of It though.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Watch that. Watch In the Loop, and then watch Veep.
The unfortunate thing is the DVDs I have for that are Region 2, so I have to do some shenaniganry to make them work
Yes.
for TV.
Been watching The Newsroom.
Okay, how's that?
I liked the first episode. I did not like the second episode
That's exactly how I felt.
at all. And we can talk about this.
We should talk about this with This is I want to talk about that with Gary too because I know he's a Sorkin guy, but I kind of feel like I'm Sorkined out.
No, I don't think I'm Sorkin now. I think that there's some terrible characters in that show.
Well, so you're saying he's Studio 60'd it?
No, Studio 60 was much better.
Okay. Yeah, I guess you're right. I like the characters on Studio 60 a lot more, even with what's his name from Friends. You want to call it?
Yeah.
Let's. We'll be back. Are we gonna do? We want to commit to show next Tuesday? You leave on what, Wednesday afternoon?
I leave on
Wednesday morning.
Wednesday afternoon.
So we could do a show either on Wednesday morning or Tuesday. Let's plan to do a show.
Okay.
Okay.
We got a show next week.
See you guys next week. And no Adam podcast as of right now for next week, but maybe.
But maybe.
So yeah, see you guys later.
Bye.
Kill the video, Norm.